Mr. Meptit. Hi, Mr. Joe.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ellen.
Hey.
So nice to see everyone here.
Yes.
It's still nice and sunny here.
Yeah, the weather is nice at the end of the year here as well.
Yeah. Actually, it's supposed to be a tourist season, but well.
It isn't.
Yeah.
The country is locked around.
Yes, I'm very sad.
And there's more outbreak in the north, in Thailand. So
Oh dear.
we'll have to keep guarded for that.
It's outbreak in Cambodia now.
Outbreak in
community
Cambodia.
outbreak. Yeah.
Oh.
So we are finding new cases every day.
Oh dear.
We're
So
striking.
in Vietnam, we
Morning,
are so
everyone.
lucky. Morning.
Yeah, you're
Morning.
good.
Mr. Mapti,
Yes.
it's so nice to see you.
Yeah, Dr. Felicia, nice to see you.
Nice to see old friends.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
This way.
happy to see you here. Yeah.
Your presentation was very nice. I like
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. All the presentations were good. Yes, we
I
have to
think
learn.
too many questions for TICMAP yesterday
Yes. You were a celebrity.
because it's interesting.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was quite challenging, wasn't it?
Yeah, because yeah, many questions. I don't know why.
So many questions to
Yeah, it was.
map.
Mr. Salman, how are you?
So today,
Hi, Siri.
Nirada,
Yeah.
Phương, and one more presentation.
Jimmy, is he here?
Yeah, also
Not
Mr.
here.
Tony Sito.
From the Philippines.
Yeah, we are waiting
Yes.
Mr. Tony Sito. Yeah, so maybe a little bit late. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because traffic.
Yeah.
Virtual traffic.
Yeah.
I decided to stay home because of that. But I'll have to go to work afterwards anyway.
Yeah,
I chose.
I'm from my office too.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you
from my office.
Yeah, you had to wake up early and leave home early, right?
Leave home at 6:30.
Oh my God.
Oh yes, otherwise traffic jams.
I know. I know that.
Yeah. So we just came here and had some breakfast and coffee, and then start working early at 8.
For me,
Okay,
no.
Dr.
Morning,
Tony is here
all.
now. Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, Tony Sito, Mr.
Morning.
Yeah. Bye.
I think Mr. Tony Sito already here. So
Yeah.
okay, we can
Yes,
start right
he's
now. Okay.
already here.
Where's Jimmy?
Okay.
Jimmy for the second session, I think.
Okay. I
Second
see.
session. So because I think we can start right now, yeah, Ibu Ellen and Mr. Tony Sito.
Ellen.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my technical staff here too to help me in the PowerPoint slides
Hi,
presentation.
sir. Yes, I'm here po.
Hello. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
That's
Ibu
so
Luhani, you wanna greet our GB member here or our guest, please, Ibu Luhani?
Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to see you again today. And yesterday, the presentation were very great. I saw all PowerPoints, and I have to review it last night for myself because yesterday I needed to go early. But thank you very much for your presentations yesterday, and I'm waiting for our 5 GB members presenting today. It's really inspiring presentation, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Map. And I think Dr. Min and our earlier presentations.
Okay. I think now we started. Okay, now Farah, please. Start it, Farah.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of CQ webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. I would like to give information regarding the host rules of the webinar and evaluation form beforehand. First, log in and write your display name using the format of your complete name and your institution. Second, mute your audio during the presentation from resource person. Third, should you have any questions, you can write it down on Q&A feature in Zoom. Lastly, the link for the evaluation form will be sent through the chat box. We will only provide certificate to participants who have joined the webinar from day one on Zoom and have completed the evaluation form. Now, we are heading to the presentation session for day 2. To chair the session, we would like to invite Ms. Virgo Rita Furiani, an education and training expertise. She is currently being an English language teachers trainer in Center for Development and Empowerment of Language Teachers and Education Personnel. To Ms. Virgo, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Farah. I'd like to test my video first and also my audio. Can everybody hear me well? Because here I'm having a little trouble because your video is just like, you know, lagging. Farah?
Yes.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
How about my video? Because here it's a bit, you know, lagging.
Okay.
We can see you well, Ibu Virgo. You can start it, Ibu Virgo, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of CQ webinar series. The first day of the webinar was conducted yesterday on the 8th of December 2020. The theme of these 2 days webinars is language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. My name is Virgo Rita. I will be your moderator for the second day of this webinar, and I am a master trainer in the Center for Development and Empowerment of Language Teachers and Education Personnel. Okay, the second day of webinar, we will divide into 2 sessions. The first session, we will have 2 governing board members to present the topics. That is the governing board members from the Philippines and also from Singapore. And for the second session, we will have 3 governing board members from Thailand, Timor-Leste, and also Vietnam. We hope you all excited to learn more about the presentation today. I'd like to remind you, if you have any questions during the presentation of our presenters, you can write your questions on the question and answer room and who your questions for. Yeah, we are going to see through or pick up your questions from there. Without further ado, let us start the first session with our first presenter from the Philippines. His Excellency, Mr. Tonisito Machiavelli Kasugo Umali Esquire.
Thank you very much. I hope my audio is loud and clear. And if I may now request my staff to please help me in displaying our PowerPoint presentation. First of all, I would like to thank the Sekil Simeo Secretariats for sponsoring this very relevant webinar event. I'm sure this event was discussed in other meetings, but in the case of the Sekil Governing Board, I distinctly remember us talking about conducting an activity like this, the sharing of best practices by each country with respect to their language policy and education in our respective countries, so that we could learn as we also try to learn. Yesterday, I was particularly very interested in the mother tongue multilingual education policy of some of our GB member countries, and how foreign language is being taught and what are the basic policies being implemented and mechanism procedures to make sure that the language policy of each country are relevant and will be the most efficient and effective in terms of educating our children. In the case of the Philippines, the basic document that governs our language policy is the Philippine Constitution. And it is stated in our Philippine Constitution, the Philippines had basically since the colonization of being colonized by Spain. We had a constitution during the 1800s going to the 1900s. And then when the Americans came to the Philippines, we have this Philippine Jones Law of 1902, which served as the basic charter used by the Americans as it governs the Philippines. Again, in sometime in the 1930s, we had the Philippine Commonwealth Constitution. And then again, when we gained finally our independence in the 1940s, another constitution was ratified. 1973, during the time of former President Ferdinand Marcos, after the declaration of martial law in September 21, 1972, we had another constitution ratified in 1973. And when we had the People Power 1986 Peaceful Revolution, we now again enacted the present 1987 Philippine Constitution, which we could see, though it is now, right now, we have a presidential form of government. Prior to that, we had the parliamentary form of government under the 1973 Constitution, is still largely based on our 1935 and 1973 Constitution. And under the Philippine Constitution, for purposes of communication and instruction, the official languages of the Philippines are Filipino and, until otherwise provided by law, English. The regional languages are the auxiliary official languages in the regions and shall serve as auxiliary media of instruction. The Philippines, even prior, just like as I was trying to explain, the reason why it's very important that we talk about the basic instrument that governs a country's policy. I was trying to listen to the other countries' presentation on this, but in the case of the Philippines, as stated in the 1987 Constitution, in the 1973 Constitution, the official languages stated are Filipino and English. And still, the bilingual education policy until the enactment by our Philippine Congress, the equivalent of your parliament, has enacted Republic Act 10533, providing for a multilingual, mother tongue-based education policy. But prior to that, and still effective, because we try to reconcile all laws applicable, so this is the bilingual policy of education, again, strongly taught in our schools, Filipino and English. And under this policy, Filipino and English are used as the media of instruction in specific subject areas. The former social studies or social sciences, now we call it in our native language, Filipino, Araling Panlipunan. which literally means, if translated in English, social studies, music, arts, physical education, home economics, practical arts and character education, and math, science, and technology subjects. Again, as I have mentioned, this should have been superseded in some way with the enactment of our, next slide please, of our mother tongue based multilingual education policy as enacted by our Philippine Congress sometime in 2013, Republic Act 10533. But even prior to that, it's okay, John, go to the previous slide. But even prior to that, we already studied intensively or extensively the use of mother tongue, so that in our particularly in the early years of our basic education, so that we had this, what you call, as you look at the second bullet of this slide, the Lubuagan First Language Component Multilingual Education Pilot Project in 1998, where the first language or the mother tongue was used in the first 3 grades before transitioning to the main language use, in our case, Filipino and English. And the results show, based on this study, were very favorable. And all the schools that participated, some more or less 921 schools, where we thought subjects, major subjects like mathematics, social studies, science, and all other core subjects of our basic education curriculum in the mother tongue. The results compared to those schools which still use the bilingual education language policy, Filipino in English, shows that it is much better. And that should not be very hard to accept, because you could just imagine a child, a child in first grade has been talking in their native mother tongue, in their regional language, unless they were being, unless their parents are talking to them in English, or in our case, the main language, Filipino, the national language in the Philippines, they all use their mother tongue. So it makes a lot of sense that when you first teach them how to read, how to write, you teach them mathematics in the mother tongue. It makes a lot of sense that they will understand this more easily. Because you could just imagine right now, if you will be taught in Spanish or in another language, and they teach you even the basic subjects, whatever you feel right now as you try to negotiate and understand all this knowledge will be the same feeling of our child. And true enough, this study shows that a child taught in mother tongue, kinder to grade 3, will perform a lot better. The chances of them dropping out, the scores that they're getting in our national achievement tests or examinations are a lot better compared to other students who are not being taught in their mother tongue, but in the languages Filipino and English in the first 3 grades plus kindergarten. So next slide, please. So consistent with the findings of this project, the Department of Education, through our secretary then, your Ministry of Education, your Minister of Education, led by our secretary, implemented the mother tongue-based multilingual education by virtue of a DepEd order, an order issued by our department, implementing this even without a law being passed. So we did this. And then in 2013, now this is the law, we have to follow this, RA 10533. So sometime after also in 2013, DepEd order number 28 was also issued, basically identifying first 12 to 13 regional languages as the basis of our mother tongue base. Each region, whatever is the prevailing language there, that is identified as the regional language, that is identified as the medium of instruction in that particular region of the country. And then the DepEd Order number 28 added 7 more regional languages. In the Philippines, just like in your countries, we have like not less than 100 regional language. Even one regional language may take various forms, and that will be one of the challenges we would like to see after us studying the implementation of our MTB MLE, that we need to address the identification of the lingua franca, the regional language, to be used as the medium of instruction. But even in a particular region, there is slight variation. In Indonesia, I know that Bahasa has different, I understand, variation depending on the areas where you are located, or even the regional language. Same challenges we are confronted with as we implement MTB MLE. Next slide, please. I would like to share with you the exact language used in the law, how we are now implementing mother tongue, because this is now part of our law. John, you could chat me if I don't have time na. Please remind me how many time I have left, so that I'll adjust accordingly in this presentation. Please, John, okay? So, under the law, basic education shall be delivered in languages understood by the learners, as the language plays a strategic role in shaping the formative years of learners. That's under Section 4, Paragraph 5 of the Philippine K-12 law. For kindergarten and the first 3 years of elementary education, instruction, teaching materials, and assessment. Again, I would like to emphasize all the materials that we are using now, from kinder to grade 3, is taught in mother tongue, shall be consistent as provided for in this law, in the regional or native language of the learners. The Department of Education shall formulate a mother language transition program from grade 4 to 6, so that Filipino and English shall be gradually introduced as languages of instruction until such time when these 2 languages can become the primary languages of instructions at the secondary level. I would like to add that while mother tongue is the medium of instruction from kinder to grade 3, we are also teaching English starting first grade as a separate subject, together with Filipino, the national language common to all regions. It is being taught as a separate subject starting first grade. So we don't teach English like starting 4th grade. We teach it in first grade. When we reach 4th grade, all subjects, right now, this is the policy, and we are reviewing this policy, are now being taught 4th grade to 6th grade in Filipino, except the subjects, of course, English, which continues to be taught as a separate subject, again, as I have mentioned, starting first grade. Math and science, we teach them all in the English language. When we reach grade 7 or high school, secondary education, all subjects are taught in English. That's how we transition. Maybe that's the point that I'm trying to make. From mother tongue to Filipino being our national language, and then English being taught now, continuously as a separate subject, but math and science now entirely in English. And then in high school, everything in English except for the subject Filipino, of course, and Araling Panlipunan or social studies, which is taught in Filipino. No more mother tongue as a separate subject being taught. Also, grades 4 to 6, no mother tongue. Only kinder to grade 3. And I would like to add, aside from being the medium of instruction, mother tongue, kinder to grade 3, Mother tongue is also taught kinder to grade 3 as a separate subject. So as stated in our law, sections 4, paragraph 7, for purposes of this act, mother language or first language refers to language or languages first learned by a child, which she identifies with, is identified as a native language of by others, which she knows best or uses most. This includes Filipino Sign Language used by individuals with pertinent disabilities. The regional or native language refers to traditional speech variety or variety of Filipino Sign Language existing in a region, area, or place. Again, and that's where the challenge lies. Identification of the first language. Because again, even in a particular region, our children may speak different forms. When you go from one municipality or locality, you cross another locality, the regional language in a way change. And right now, I would like to say, based on our studies, very critical that the materials to be used, the mother tongue to be used, should really be the mother tongue being used by the learner. It should be something like that, and that's the challenges where it lies. If that is addressed, all the results, as I mentioned to you, in our Lubuagan project would definitely be achieved. Next slide, please. So right now, we are trying to revisit our present language policy, the effectivity of MTB, MLE, and there are now ongoing discussion. I would like to share with you how it is going, proceeding right now. Go ahead, next slide, please. So upon revisiting the existing policies, the findings and results of the consultations done are reflected in the enhanced language policy, now titled the Multilingual Policy of Education in the Philippines. This is presently we're going through this process right now. And this policy that we hope to issue, if not this year, definitely next year, should further strengthen the implementation of the Philippines MTB MLE program, including the processes, standards, and tools for contextualization of learning resources in the mother tongue. Next slide. Right now, the major difference right now in the proposed policy that we are discussing is the gradual shift to English as the main medium of teaching and learning or instruction. Philippines has always been known to be using English, and we still use English as a form of instruction in the early grades. But right now, under the current law, the challenge now is the experts are saying you cannot simply jump from mother tongue immediately to your third language. You have to gradually shift from L1 to L2, then to L3, or L2 if English is considered an L2, second language. But there should be a gradual transition. So the focus of discussion right now under the second bullet is Filipino and English shall be gradually introduced as a medium of teaching and learning until such time when these two languages can become the primary language of instruction. So as stated in our law, kinder, grade 3, mother tongue, fundamental medium of teaching and learning. The mother tongue shall still be the primary medium of teaching and learning with some, we will now start gradually shifting to Filipino and English. And then in grade 7 and 12, mother tongue shall be an auxiliary language to be used. Major difference under our current policy where mother tongue is no longer being used when we reach secondary education. But still, Filipino and English shall be the primary medium of teaching and learning from grade 7 to grade 12. Again, the difference here is basically we start doing this in grade 4 right now. So grade 4 to 6 will be like the transition years. That's the focus on the discussion right now with respect to our new language policy. Next slide, please. Okay. Filipino shall be continued to be taught as a separate subject, even if mother tongue, that's how we are discussing it right now. But anyway, that's how we are doing it right now. But the way we're discussing under the new language policy, starting first grade, and English will be offered in first grade or second grade. This language arts learning shall develop the oral language fluency of learners first, and this shall serve as the foundation for their literacy development in these languages, as shown by some solid research and studies. Yes, next slide, please. Mother tongue as the basis in transitioning the learner's oral language. Okay, next slide. I have emphasized this already. Okay, this is how we intend to do, when we will exactly teach the language, the national language Filipino, second half of first grade, and then focus on transitioning the learner's oral language fluency to literacy in the language by grade 2 and grade 3, though using mother tongue as the fundamental medium of teaching and learning, and then continuing this from grade 4 to grade 6. Next slide, please. English as the third language shall be introduced beginning second half of second grade, but right now we're doing it first grade. So this is the discussion right now. Focus on transitioning the learner's oral fluency in the literacy in the language by third grade using mother tongue. And again, becoming a tool in understanding Philippine English and foreign literature and culture and other disciplines with mother tongue as an auxiliary language in secondary education. Next slide, please. So some final thoughts, let me end by sharing you this. Right now in the Philippines, there are strong pressure in Congress to revert back to the bilingual Filipino-English policy where as early as first grade, Filipino and English are the medium of instruction. They say that the Filipinos right now are not as fluent or as conversant, as good in English since we have done the MTB MLE policy. Others are saying that we don't have the correct or the it's like what I said, the resources, the learning materials that we really need to implement MTB MLE efficiently and effectively, especially the way I articulated it a while ago. When you are in a particular region, teaching mother tongue, using it as your medium of instruction, when in truth and in fact, your children are not really familiar with the exact mother tongue material that we have identified as the regional language, as there are really some variations. So challenges like this, we would like to address with the revisiting of the present language policy and as we generally discuss. But we would like to say that the effectiveness of the MTB MLE cannot be invalidated by this arguments that I have just mentioned. Indeed, our Philippine Ministry of Education, the Department of Education, under the leadership of our secretary, our minister, would have to monitor. I've already directed our offices to monitor and evaluate our current MTB MLE in order to troubleshoot and enhance its plans for quality education. The MTB MLE shall continue, as it is not only mandated by law. We have no choice right now because it's a law, unlike before, as an option, as a policy. The Department of Education, the Ministry of Education chose this policy, but now it's a law. But it is also theoretically based and empirically grounded with a number of studies verifying its success in literacy and overall cognitive development. Again, I would like to thank CIMEO and our CIMEO Kitep in language, our secretariat, our director, all of you. Thank you very much for having this very, very good and relevant webinar. We hope that all the experiences, the sharing, the presentations be compiled and be put in some like a manual book like publication, if I may respectfully suggest, and be distributed to all our countries, because we want to learn also what the language policies are in our GB countries, and we would like also to learn from you as we all strive hard to have the best language we could possibly have for the efficient and effective learning of our children. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Malley, for your interesting topic. Actually, I think we need to learn from the Philippines how they gradually use their, their mother tongue into, using of English entirely in the highest senior high school. Yeah. Mr. O'Malley, actually, I'd like to read your curriculum vitae, but actually you just jump in and I was really reluctant to stop you.
It's okay.
I think we need to learn some more from Mr. O'Malley, because Mr. O'Malley has the the law background before, and how he come into the education area. Yeah. So Mr. O'Malley, we hope that we learn more from you, because you have a vast experience. Yeah, in the education area. Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. Let's us continue to our second presenter. I'm having a bit trouble with my video because it's lacking. Yeah. The second presenter is Mrs. Elaine Yeoh. Mrs. Yeoh holds a degree in Master of Arts on Applied Linguistics, and she is now working in English Language Institute in Singapore, Ministry under the Ministry of Education. She is a master teacher in English language. She's been serving as a governing board members since 2019. The topic that will be presented by Mrs. Yeoh is language policy and language education in Singapore. Mrs. Yeoh, you have 25 minutes for this presentation, and without further ado, let's have Mrs. Yeoh present her topic. Mrs. Yeoh, the time is yours.
Thank you so much. I would like to share screen now, if I may. I hope that my audio is clear. Let me know if you cannot hear me.
It's clear.
It's clear. All right, good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to present on the topic of language policy and language education in Singapore. My presentation outline is as follows. I will talk about the overview of the Singapore education system. I'll take you briefly through the literacy and language policy in Singapore. Then I will focus specifically on the English language teaching and learning, giving you a little bit of background about what's happening in Singapore at this time. And we will also look at how we engage our stakeholders in language education. Okay, let me start by providing the overview of the Singapore education system. This will provide insights to the decisions that are made in the context of language policy and language education directions. Broadly speaking, there are two goals of education in Singapore. One is to fulfill the aspirations of our students. We help our students be the best that they can be. This means developing well-rounded students. We do so by providing multiple pathways for success and by providing customized programs in schools. The second goal of education is to support our economy. Our people are Singapore's only natural resource, as you know. It is therefore critical that our education prepares our children for the workforce in an increasingly fast-changing and globalized world. If we look back at history, the development of our education system mirrored Singapore's economic transformation. In the initial stages, our education system was driven by the need to survive. Over time, we focused on efficiency to ensure that more students progressed through the education system and that they have the skills to serve capital-intensive industries. We then shifted our focus from efficiency to quality, flexibility, and choice in learning. In the late 1990s, our schools began to enjoy more autonomy. Since 2012, we are in what we call the student-centric, values-driven education phase. Let me now share with you the general progression pathways that our students take. Typically, Singapore students go through 6 years of primary education. 99% of each cohort are placed at the appropriate secondary schools and courses. This includes about 1 to 2% who go to specialized schools that focus on vocational training. There are 3 different courses which cater to the needs of our students in the secondary years. The Express course caters to higher ability students. They take the GCE O levels after 4 years of secondary education. Students in the normal academic course take the GCE N levels in the 4th year. They can then proceed to the polytechnics, the Institute of Technical Education, or they can choose to take the GCE O levels in their 5th year. The normal technical course prepares students for technical education at the ITE. They take the GCE N levels in the 4th year. Students can transfer from one course to another if they perform well, or take specific subjects of strengths at more demanding level through subject-based banding. This is actually a simplified structure. Since 1997, our educational structure has transformed with what we call more educational pathways. So let's take a look at this now. The multiple pathways that we talked about, that I mentioned earlier. Now at the primary level, we have introduced subject-based banding to ensure students with uneven strengths to learn at their own pace for each subject, either at the foundation or the standard level. At the secondary school, at the secondary level, we now have various types of school, such as the integrated program. Okay, I'm sorry, it seems that just give me a minute, my slides are stuck. There we go, integrated program schools, which allow top students in the express stream to skip the O-level examinations. Then we also have what we call the specialized independent schools, which cater to talents in sports, arts, mathematics, and science. Then we also have the privately funded schools, which serve as a potential source of innovative ideas in curriculum and teaching, as well as provide an alternative choice of academic qualifications like the International Baccalaureate. While there is still streaming, there is even more porosity, and students can transfer laterally from one stream to another if they perform well. At secondary level, we also have what we call the specialized schools, which cater to non-academically inclined students who require more hands-on learning with a vocational-based education. We have also recently enhanced our special education to cater to students with special learning needs and disabilities. We have also put in place a direct school admission scheme, which gives our schools and tertiary education institutions the flexibility to admit students based on their achievements and talents in areas that are not captured by our national exams. Going forward, we will continue to create more pathways for our secondary school students to achieve success based on their own abilities. In line with our shift towards student-centric, values-based education, our education system aims to prepare our students for work and life. The university degrees, polydiplomas, and ITE certificates are a means to an end to prepare our students for the challenges they will experience when they enter the workforce. Furthermore, the Singapore government actively encourages Singaporeans to continue with lifelong learning even after they leave school, for example, through the Skills Future movement, which provides Singaporeans with opportunities to develop to their fullest potential through lifelong learning and skills mastery, regardless of their starting points. This movement involves collaboration amongst multiple stakeholders, including individuals, employers, industry associations, unions, training providers, and government agencies. The Ministry of Education also plays a role in the preschool sector. MOE drives the development of a kindergarten curriculum to raise the quality of kindergarten education in Singapore. MOE also drives the MOE kindergarten effort with the aim of providing quality preschool education that is affordable to Singaporeans. We also pilot teaching and learning resources, as well as work with other preschool centers to distill good practices for sharing with the sector. Now, there are key issues that we need to address. As we seek to enhance our education system. So in preparing for an increasingly uncertain economy, we will continue to focus to train and sustain an economically competitive workforce, which is resilient and can adapt to the ever-changing global economy. We want to reduce the overemphasis on academic grades and to broaden definitions of success. We recognize that future economy will require a diversity of talents. Being exam smart is not enough. Education as a social leveler must continue to provide hope for a better future, especially for disadvantaged students. We continue to uphold professionalism of our teachers, to maintain and enhance public confidence in our teachers and our education system. We need to calibrate our approach to working with an increasingly vocal and involved public. Our stakeholders are expecting and demanding more for our children. And to prevent unmet aspirations and skill mismatches, our education system needs to be forward-looking and responsive to national and global trends. This will help us prepare our young for a very different tomorrow. So with that, I will now go into the next section where I will elaborate on the literacy and language policy in Singapore. So I provided you the background for the education. So now we're going to focus on the language policy in Singapore. Now, let me first start by elaborating on the language environment in Singapore. Now, we have 4 official languages in Singapore. Malay is our national language, English, which is the lingua franca and predominant home language. English is also the medium of instruction in our schools, as well as a subject of study for all primary and secondary school students. We also have Mandarin, which is widely used among Chinese Singaporeans, and the 4th official language is Tamil, one of the many Indian languages spoken by Indian Singaporeans. It's against this multilingual backdrop that our bilingual policy is a cornerstone of our education system. It requires our students to offer 2 languages, English language and an official mother tongue language. This enables them to connect with people from different backgrounds in a multicultural environment, and it allows them to thrive in a diverse, globalized world. It also equips our students with language and cultural competencies to appreciate their culture and heritage. This bilingual policy has served us well. Our literacy rates among residents 15 years and older have grown to 97.5% in 2019, up from 92.3% 20 years ago. Residents who are literate in more than 2 languages was 73% in 2015. Now, internationally, our students have performed well in literacy studies. Our primary 4 pupils in Singapore have emerged second in the international test, Pearls International Test, that measured how well they can read. The results of Pearls also found that our students here outperform their peers in other countries in navigating online texts. Yes, Singapore pupils came out tops. We surpassed 13 other territories and countries, including the United States, in the online task, which required them to answer questions related to information on the web. Now, in PISA, which is the Program for International Student Assessment, Singapore came in second in all 3 subjects covered in the study: mathematics, science, and reading. Singapore's 15-year-olds also came out tops in PISA's 2018 Global Competence Study. PISA defines global competence as the ability to examine significant issues, appreciate other perspectives, engage in effective interactions across cultures, and take action for collective well-being and sustainable development. Now, I will talk about specifically the language education, English language education in Singapore, the teaching and learning of English language, because it is our lingua franca, as well as the medium of instruction, as well as the subject of study in our primary and secondary school. Right, let me start by saying that at the global level, English allows Singaporeans to tap into a knowledge-based economy where English is the main lingua franca of the internet, of science, and of technology, and of world trade. At a high level of English proficiency is needed in an increasingly competitive world. Learning English in a multilingual context like Singapore is different from learning it in a monolingual or first language context. Within the context of a linguistically diverse and increasingly multiliterate learning environment in Singapore classroom, teachers are encouraged to adopt a principled blend of first language, or L1, and second language, L2 methods to achieve a balance between systematic and explicit instruction and a contextualized and holistic approach to teaching English. Such a blended approach to teaching and learning English provides a rich environment for developing language skills, learner strategies, and acquiring the knowledge of grammar and vocabulary. To ensure that our syllabuses keep pace with the needs of our learners in a changing world, our syllabuses are regularly revised and updated. The revised English language syllabus was launched in 2020 as part of this review of syllabuses. And this syllabus builds on the English language syllabus 2010. And ELS, what we call the English Language Syllabus 2020, ELS for short, takes into consideration the trends and challenges, as well as the changing contexts for language use. Just give me a minute, please. Apologies for that. Right, let me go into the changing context of language use that we took into consideration when we drew up the English Language Syllabus 2020. Today, many changing socioeconomic factors make proficiency in English even more necessary for our students. The increasingly competitive international environment calls for an even greater need for linguistic and communicative competence, adaptability and flexibility to make sense of the massive rate of disruptions in every sphere of life as a consequence of globalization and the spread of English as an international language. Economic and employment trends are also changing the way English is used. So in recent years, the rapid development in information technology has shaped our understanding of literacy and linguistic skills in English to include multiliteracies. The inclusion of multiliteracies is particularly important given the context of future workplace readiness, with the rising emphasis on interpersonal skills, high order cognitive skills, and information system skills. Secondly, with the generational shift in home language among an increasing number who have adopted English as their mother tongue, learning English in classroom occurs now in a linguistically diverse context. And this change in profile of learners is something that we needed to consider. So too, the need to create opportunities for all while making space for excellence, and as well as balancing rigor with the joy of learning. And so our vision for the new syllabus would be at these three levels. At the foundational stage, we want our students to be able to use language for everyday purposes across different spheres of life. At the aspirational level, we want to anchor our 21st century EL learners in strong values. And at the ethical level, we want them to be able to use language to do good and to uplift the human spirit. So in the development of our ELS 2020 was guided by the following principles. And the three principles are learner centricity, where we hope to be able to better meet the students' learning needs and development. Secondly, relevance, where we make learning pertinent for our 21st century context. And alignment, to ensure alignment within and across key educational stages to achieve wider educational outcomes. Hence, the three key shifts here you see in mainly learner outcomes, wanting stronger fundamentals for future learning, as well as curricular alignment. So let me just quickly take you through the three shifts. In terms of learner outcomes, we want our learners to able to be empathetic communicators, discerning readers, as well as creative inquirers. This is based on the framework for our 21st century competency and student outcomes, which identifies three categories of competencies to enable our learners to take advantage of the opportunities in the digital age while staying connected to the Singapore heartbeat. And these three categories of competencies are, firstly, core values as the moral compass, with character as the foundation of learning and behavior. Secondly, social and emotional competencies. And thirdly, 21st century competencies for the globalized world. So in order to help our students work towards these desired learner outcomes, our syllabus has been updated and sharpened to reflect the values and 21st century competencies expected of our communicative, effective communicators. And these build on the strengths of our previous syllabus 2010. In terms of strong fundamentals and future learning, we want to move forward to prepare our learners for the increasing demands of the 21st century. So what the changes are would be these. Moving forward, our EL syllabus will deepen oral communication and social skills to promote effective engagement and interaction and the use of talk as tool for learning and thinking. There will be wide and extensive reading and listening, which we will emphasize, and a range of authentic text, print, non-print, and digital, which will be introduced across all levels. Writing different types of text will be introduced at developmentally appropriate points so that students will progressively learn the craft of composing with cumulative complexity. Grammar and vocabulary will be taught explicitly and in context of language using rich texts. We also are going to increase the emphasis on the development of critical skills of metacognition, multiliteracies, and inquiry through dialogue. In our third shift, we ask ourselves, how can we implement the syllabus to ensure curricular alignment? And to ensure progression of learning from primary to secondary schools, these are the things that we did. We will have clear curriculum objectives that are articulated for each syllabus to guide the planning and focus of EL teaching and learning at key stages. So from kindergarten to primary 1, from primary 6 to secondary 1, from secondary 4 and 5 to the pre-university. We have also developed clear pedagogical frameworks for both the primary as well as the secondary schools. And thirdly, EL instructional materials are provided to schools in digital format for adaptation to suit the needs of learners in different schools. In addition, curriculum aligned student learning space resources for all areas of language learning are available and will be added to on an ongoing basis to support EL teaching and learning. So these are the 3 key shifts of our syllabus.
Monsieur, you have 5 minutes.
Sure, I will be finishing soon. Thank you. All right. Right. In terms of leveling up in literacy programs, we have, in addition to the main curriculum, there are also leveling up literacy programs to further support primary school students who face various challenges in the learning of English language. So if you take a look, in addition to the national curriculum, we have what we call the Tier 2 programs that provide additional support to our students who lack developmentally appropriate early literacy skills or who have who are diagnosed, for example, as having dyslexia. So we have our Tier 2 and Tier 3 small group intervention programs to help our students access the main curriculum. So to help our EL teachers navigate these changes, the ministry has put in place various forms of support to ensure that they are able to help students learn effectively. So the support that we provide to our teachers include methodology, for example, in syllabus implementation workshops that we roll out nationwide, in terms of materials that we provide, in terms of mentoring by stellar teacher mentors, by curriculum partners, and by master teachers. And this support is provided through systematic partnerships among English Language Institute of Singapore, the English Language and Literature branch of our Curriculum Planning and Development Division, as well as our National Institute of Education. Now, with the continuing COVID-19 situation, learning continues for both teachers and students, and teachers are supported through online professional learning so that they are equipped to facilitate student learning through both home-based and in-person learning modes. The redesign of our English teachers' learning sessions to online learning is also guided by the following considerations. And firstly, teachers' diverse needs. Secondly, the desire to strengthen the theory-practice nexus for teachers, especially for teaching in a blended learning approach, because they also now have to equip themselves in order to teach our students in an increasingly blended approach. And thirdly, the need to promote teacher self-directed learning and metacognition so that they can model these for their students. So if you take a look, teachers are also offered instructional and student learning resources for their use on Student Learning Space, which is Singapore's national online learning platform for students. And our support for teachers is also differentiated as shown. So we have programs for our key personnel and teacher leaders, for our teachers, as well as schools. We also have end-to-end support that includes pre-service training at NIE. So all the new changes, the new developments, we work with the National Institute of Education, which is our teacher training institution, to ensure that teachers who go through the training are ready to implement the new syllabus as they come out. Okay, my final segment would be on stakeholder involvement, and in supporting our language, our teachers and learners, the ministry also engages various stakeholders. So, for example, at the national level, we partner with the National Library Board. They are our key partner in raising literacy levels, like the Kids Read program, which aims at cultivating the love of reading among children 4 to 8 years old who are from less privileged families. We also work at the community level with ethnic community groups, which provide educational and funding assistance to students from less affluent families. So in review, these are the segments that we have looked at, these aspects that we have looked at of Singapore's language policy and language education. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your interesting presentation. Actually, we need to learn more from Singapore, yeah? How you manage your education. I think for the primary education, we have a similar scheme, yeah? We have 6 years for the primary schools, but actually it is very interesting that you said that in primary schools you have, what you call it, they can learn from their own space, yeah, with their own space. Yeah,
the student learning space.
Yeah, the
online platforms. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Yo, and also Mr. Umali. Now we've come to the question and answer session. We have 30 minutes to answer the questions from the audience here. Maybe the committee will show us the questions from the audience, from the participants. So we have seen some questions here. At least here there are 19 questions, but actually in YouTube airing we have more than this 19 questions. Okay, now first questions to Mr. Umali from UT Kanti, Cambodia. Mr. Umali, would you like, I would like to ask you in some questions. So this is not one question, Mr. Umali, actually this is 3 questions, yeah? Has your country ever provided some scholarships or not? If you provide some scholarship, which ways and which field of the course will you provide? Maybe one question first, is it?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that question, Sir UT Kanti from Cambodia. Under the Philippine Constitution, it is mandated there that the state or the government should implement a system of scholarship grants to our education or to all our learners or students. And there's an Article 14, Section 1 there that states that the state shall protect and promote the right of every Filipino citizen to quality education at all levels, and that we should ensure that this shall be accessible to all. And then there are, again, like I mentioned, there are some provisions in our constitutions mandating that we should have a scholarship system of granting this. So the answer is yes, through our Philippine public education system, which is totally free. You could say that that's one form of scholarship where students can avail of public basic education totally for free. And in partnership with the private sector, so this is not offered to all public education learners. We have more or less 22.5 million kinder to grade 12 public basic education learners. And some of them may get some form of subsidy or scholarship in the public school to help them pay for their transportation costs and other incidental costs that they may incur to continue with their education. So that's in the basic education level. In the private basic education level, we have what you call the government assistance to students and teachers in private education. So those who are in private school, those who are the most who needed it most may avail of some state subsidies, grade 7 to grade 10. We give them some amounts depending on the location to help them, and we also help private school teachers, because right now in the Philippines, public school teachers are paid more, and we want to support our private school education, and that's a challenge right now, the migration of private school teachers to public school system in the basic education level, because we pay more, just like what I have said. So we also give them some form of subsidy. Grades 11 and 12, public high school grade 10 completers, so our senior high school, it's grades 11 and 12, more specialized courses, specific tracks being offered in grades 11 and 12. Our public school grade 10 has the option to go to private school if they want, and we will give them subsidy again. And those who are getting subsidy during grade 7 to 10 in private school will continue to get that kind of subsidy in grades 11 and 12. In college, tertiary level, we have what you call a law. We call it the UniFast law, where we have a governing board that synchronizes and consolidates all these scholarship programs for tertiary education. We have state universities and colleges, which you could go to this universities and colleges totally free tuition. We have a law on this. Those who graduated honor roll in high school, if they go to a state university and college, they will get additional scholarship subsidies. And our private universities also are implementing their own scholarship system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Umali. The second question is, which languages do Philippines students speak in university? Filipinos or English?
It's English, ma'am. English is the medium of instruction, except for the standalone subject Filipino. So Filipino is still taught in the first years in college as a separate subject, all other subjects in English.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Umali. Let's go to the next participants' questions. Okay, to Mr. Umali from Ernie Yulianti, teacher from Senior High School number 1. How does Philippines language policy affect to English language policy in teaching process? As you said that English as the third language there. Is there any problem?
Yes. Right now, our Philippine Minister of Education, Minister Leonor Briones, and with me as one of her deputy ministers, are now revisiting, just like what I have shown, the language policy in the Philippines right now. So there are many forces contending. They're saying that the present multilingual base MTB MLE policy of DepEd as articulated under Republic Act 10533 have in some way affected the English proficiency of our children. I have my I don't want to preempt our minister or what as a deputy minister in our country. I have my own thoughts on this. I would like to share our thoughts when that review process continues and as it continues with respect to the question here. But I would like to say that it appears that there is some form of effect to our English capability. Maybe there are some English because logically, if we have been teaching English from the very beginning, you know, right now we will teach it later on. But overall, the MTB MLE mother tongue based form of instruction as the medium of instruction, especially in the formative years. I would like to believe, and I saw the empirical evidence, results are better. Students understand more their lessons. So overall, MTB MLE should be a better policy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Umali. Let's go to the next questions. From Safarudin Marpaung to Mr. Umali. Safarudin Marfaung is a teacher from SMA Senior High School number 2, Tanjung Balai, North Sumatra. What are the different issues and considerations to the basic language programs, policies, and planning in the Philippines?
Yes, the main challenge here. I talked to our the Deputy Minister for Curriculum and Instruction. And their strand, if you may, is all about the resource materials, the learning resource materials, especially if you're doing an MTB MLE program, kinder to grade 3. You should have quality and really relevant learning resource materials. So if we want to really use mother tongue, the material in grade 1 math, for example, should be really translated in the mother tongue and be taught in the real mother tongue being used by the child. But again, just like what I have mentioned, one main challenge here is even in our regions, there are different or variation of a particular regional language. So that's where the challenge lies. And English being widely spoken in the Philippines and Filipino, sometimes or oftentimes, we have many students, even in a particular region, their mother tongue is already English or Filipino. It's not the local regional language because parents talk to them at a very young age in English and or in Filipino. So when they go to school and the school in a particular region implementing the mother tongue-based policy, medium of instruction of the Department of Education, they will now have some challenges and difficulties, especially that mother tongue is also being taught as a separate language. But despite these challenges, there are a lot of advantages and opportunities that we are look here. So this very Filipino child who may have been raised and taught in English will now have an opportunity to know the richness of their own culture by them being now in a way compelled to study their mother tongue. And now they will now be proud of their own heritage, notwithstanding the way they're being raised by their family. So that's one real challenge that we have right now. In a particular region, different practically mother tongue are being used at home. So that's one biggest challenge. Filipino as the national language, question number 2, if you may, Ms. Rita, will be always be there since 1935, or during the Commonwealth period, during the time of President Manuel Quezon, our president at the time, when he first declared Tagalog then as the national language, and then later on it became Filipino based on Tagalog. Filipino will always be there. It's being taught as a separate subject. Again, there are other subjects, especially from grades 4 to 6, still being taught in Filipino. And that's why the fluency and the concept of just having one national language to unite the country will always be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Umali. Let's go to the next questions. Maybe the questions from Ms. Yo. Yes, the question is Ms. Yo from Dia Ayu from University Negeri Yogyakarta. With so many regions in a country, there are various languages. How to teach English as an international language in areas with limitations, with a background in the daily use of regional languages and still having difficulty using the national language of the country. So this is really Indonesian problem, Miss Yo.
I think, okay, I'm afraid that I cannot answer this for another country, because in our nation, for us, because of the policies through the years, English language has become the predominant language even of the households in Singapore. So I think I shared the figures with you just now, that about 73, if I'm not mistaken, % of our population speak 2 languages or more. So English is one of those languages that they are literate in because of the language policy in our nation from a young age. So even in kindergarten, when they start nursery school, kindergarten, the instruction is mainly in English language. So English is our medium of instruction for all the other subjects as well. So I'm not sure in terms of how the various countries will deal with this issue, because you have, when I was listening to the various presentations, even today and yesterday, I realized that the linguistic situation in many of the countries in Southeast Asia really you have to take into account the place of the different dialects, the different languages, like what Mr. Tonisito was talking about as well. But for us, I think in terms of policy, we have made it a policy that this will be our medium of instruction. This will be a subject of study because it is important for us, as I said earlier, for us to access the international global economy, because people are our only natural resource. So for us, it is written as policy, you must do this. So everybody just does it. So I'm not sure in a larger country where there are so many other social considerations, political considerations that you have to consider, what the importance is. I mean, what the possible solutions might be. Yeah, so I'm afraid, I think English language, like I said earlier also, that in a multi-language, multilingual context, you might have to take into consideration the possibility of looking at L1 teaching approaches, L2 teaching approaches, or even teaching English as a foreign language, the approach of teaching EL as a foreign language. So yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the best I can do for this question. Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Yo, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Is Malay, you said that Malay is the national language, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, is it taught in school, being a subject, I mean?
No, it is not. It is taught, yeah, it is taught as a subject for those who want to take it as a subject.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because
Because
so it is offered as a subject in school, yes.
Yeah, because Bahasa is taught in school as a subject in Indonesia. So that's
Yes.
yeah, that's the case, because we have a very wide range of areas with many provinces, many ethnics, many languages. Yeah. So
Yes.
in Singapore, you have four languages.
We have four official languages. Yeah. But there are many other dialects that are spoken and used in everyday life, for even, yeah, like Chinese, for example. Mandarin is the variety of choice for our education system, but we do also speak different dialects like Hokkien, Cantonese, Teochew in our daily life. But in schools, the variety that is taught is Mandarin. So similarly, Tamil is taught as the main Indian language, but the students also have now actually the choice, if they wish to opt for what we call the non-Tamil Indian languages, which some of them do. So they still have a choice in learning Indian languages like Urdu or Punjabi instead of Tamil. But Tamil is the main language that is official in Singapore.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jo. Maybe the last question, maybe? One last question. Oh, that's from the same person. Is there any question? I would like to, from UT Kante from Cambodia, I would like to ask you some question. What are your mother tongue in Singapore? And the second one, what are the English policy for Singapore students from general education till postgraduate? Thank you.
Well, I think if you read the literature, the concept of the mother tongue is a very wide one. So I think if you want to talk about mother tongue as defined in our education system, it would be one of the one of the other three languages apart from English, the three official languages, which is Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil. And now we do have non-Tamil Indian languages as well that is being offered. So that, in definition, in the education system, would be our mother tongue. So we take one, English, and either Malay, Mandarin, and one Indian language. Okay, so either one of these, you can choose, you can select. And what is the English policy for Singapore students? Well, English, as I've said, is the medium of instruction in Singapore. This is the language in which all our subjects, apart from the mother tongue, is taught. So yeah, they take it right up to secondary school. And in the junior college, for example, they do what we call the general paper rather than English language. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
thank you, Ms. Jo.
No worries.
Yes, I think that's all for the questions because we have limited of times. There are so many questions already, but maybe from the senior, maybe want to forward the questions to the presenters here, to the presenters, and maybe they can answer the questions, yeah, from the participants. So we have learned so much from Mr. Umali and also Ms. Yo. With Mr. Umali, we can see that how the Philippines gradually, use their mother tongue, and also shifting to the use of English as their medium of teaching and learning. So from Mr. Umali, we can see, we can learn that from the first to the third grade, they use Filipinos, yeah, for the students as the medium of teaching and learning, and then they gradually use English as medium of teaching and learning until the senior high school. All of the subject have the English as teaching and learning, medium of teaching and learning, except for the Filipinos language. Is that correct, Mr. Umali?
Yes, almost, except for kinder to third grade. Actually, the medium of instruction is mother tongue. Kinder to third grade. And mother tongue is the regional language prevalent in a particular locality. Then everything that you said are okay. Thank you, Ms. Rita.
Thank you, Mr. Umali. We hope that the better policy in your country on this use of the language, bilingual language, and also we learn more from you, from the Philippines. Yeah. And the second one is from Ms. Yo. We can learn from Ms. Yo that some of the stages in the education pace is just like Indonesia. We have 6 years of primary school. Is that right, Ms. Yo?
6 years in the primary school, yes.
Yeah. But actually they have, the students can learn in their own pace for the 6 years of the primary
yes,
school.
We have primary 5 and primary 6. We have a differentiated curriculum for those who want to learn at a slower pace. Yes.
Yes, and also that's very interesting that you have 4 to 6 years, yeah, for the secondary school.
4 to 5 years, yes.
Yeah. You have so many terms here. Special schools 4 to 5 years, and then specialized schools for 4 years, and then you have so many here.
Yes, we have multiple pathways. Yes.
Yeah. I think we need to learn more from Singapore about this. And that's wonderful that Singapore, as our neighboring countries, you have ranked the second in polls in 2016, and also PISA in 2018 also ranked second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Yo, and also Mr. Umali. We'd like to hear more from you in the next webinar. Maybe you can join the CMIO again next webinar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody, let's have a round of applause to our 2 presenters. Thank you very much. Okay, everyone, we've come to the second session of this webinar today. I think we need 2 minutes of break. Yeah, we need to have 2 minutes breaks from the committee. Yeah. Farah?
Yes, Ms. Virgo.
Yeah, because I have troubles with my audio and also my video. I think I need to leave the meeting in a second, and then I'll be back again.
That will be good. That will be okay, Ms. Virgo.
Yeah, okay. Just a second. Okay, that's that's 2 minutes already. Farah, can we go on from now?
Yes, Ms. Virgo, you may proceed to the presentation again, to be moderator again.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yesterday I was being a participant yesterday here, but actually the video is fine. But today I'm the moderator, but my video is lacking. Yeah. Okay. Everyone, we will have 3 presenters for our second sessions. The governing board from Thailand, Timor-Leste, and also from Vietnam will present their topics. Yeah. I would like again to remind you before we start the presentation, that if you have any questions for our presenters, please write your questions in the question and answer room and state who your questions for. Yeah. Okay. Let's start our second session with presenter. The first presenter, Assistant Professor Dr. Nirada Chitrakara. Dr. Chitrakara is an assistant professor in Chulalongkorn University, and her specialty is in English linguistics. She's been serving as a governing board member since 2019. Dr. Chitrakara will present her topic in language policy in Thailand. Yeah, let's give a very warm welcome to Dr. Chitrakara. Dr. Chitrakara, you have 25 minutes to present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I finally got in just the last minute because something was wrong. Anyway, sorry for the fun.
It's okay.
Well, so I have to share my screen here. Let's see, here it is. Well, since I'm not working for the Ministry of Education who implements the policy, so my presentation will be from the point of view of a person, a university lecturer who experienced the outcome of the language policy in Thailand. And well, I used to teach English as a foreign language in Thailand, and also my mom also worked for the Ministry of Education. So I'm familiar with the language teaching systems working in Thailand pretty well. Let's see. Okay. So languages and dialects in Thailand, it's a topic that people don't talk about much. That actually we're also a multilingual country because, well, we have minorities. We are on the continent, so we're similar to Myanmar and Laos and Malaysia. But it's just that because we have this Central Thai as our standard dialect, so it's imposed in schools, and other languages were not really implemented in the school system. And besides the standard Thai, we also have the Northern Thai, Southern Thai, and Northeastern Thai. And well, we also have foreign languages like Chinese, but the dialect is Teochew because they're the majority of the people who migrated to Thailand since the old days. And also some Indian languages like Hindi and Punjabi. And they're considered, well, for the Indians, they could be considered the minority groups in mostly in cities. But for the Chinese, actually, I think most of us are somehow mixed Chinese. And there are also actually 44 minority languages, not 14. The 14 are endangered, but there are 44 and they're from 5 language families. This is according to the viewpoint of linguists because I study linguistics. And they include Thai Gadai, which is also the family of the standard Thai, and some minorities in Myanmar, and also the minorities in China. And they're Austronesian, which is the language family of the Bahasa, I believe, and also Austroasian, and there is also Tibeto-Burma, and Mon and Mien. Well, that's according to the information on the minority languages in Thailand. And yes, 14 are endangered. And which is no doubt, because if the kids go to school, they'll have to study standard Thai. And we also have the language of the southern part of Thailand called Javi. Actually, it's from Javanese, and it's a variation of Javanese, which is spoken by the Muslim Thais. And this is an example of Javi, which you might be familiar with, and they have their own inscription, which is in Arabic characters. And for me, as I live in Central Thai, I have no idea about this, but this is taught among the Muslim communities in the South. And this is a book written in Javi, the name is Stories of Abdullah. Well, when it comes to language education policies, despite the numerous languages spoken in Thailand, well, the policy emphasized only Thai language and English language. Why? Because, well, we kind of have this conscious that we're quite weak in our English proficiency, which kind of shows in one of our government signs. If you can read, it's for the boat area. Don't drive the boats, buy careless. Okay, I'm not going to read it through. It's kind of embarrassing. But this is from the Bangkok Post. And it's about how low proficiency in the English language that Thai people have at the moment. So that's why the language policies emphasize mainly on the first language, which is Thai, and the foreign language, which is English. Well, the language policy, although it emphasizes on Thai and English, but the proportion is different. It depends on different types of schools. So mainly there are public schools and private schools. The public schools there, generally, well, they are under the Ministry of Education, but these days they also have bilingual programs. But when it comes to private schools, they're the ones that have general education that has Thai as a medium of the medium language of instruction, and also there's bilingual programs and international programs. And these days, the well-to-do families, they enroll their kids to the international programs. I think this is also the same trend as many countries in Asia. And for the bilingual program, they try to even out Thai and English. But the problem is, well, although the purpose is to make students become fluent in English, but as far as my experience is concerned, it doesn't seem to be that successful. The international programs, well, my nephew is in an international school. He is fluent in English, but his knowledge of Thai is kind of questionable. So, well, but for the international school in Thailand, they still try to teach Thai as well. But the fluency in Thai, well, the kids, they usually speak Thai out of school anyway. So there can be fluent in both languages, but there is also another problem in the subjects, the knowledge of each subject. We're still not sure whether the academic performance of international school students can be compared to the Thai students that learn the subjects in Thai. That's also related to Mr. Tonisito's presentation. So first, let's roughly look at the first language education, Thai language education. It focuses on only standard Thai. So that's why it could lead to the extinction of the minority languages, because, well, my students who came from the provinces, they said that they were not able to speak ethnic dialect because, well, once they got into school, they learned standard Thai and they spoke standard Thai. Some of their parents could speak minority languages, but not them. And that could lead to less and less people speaking the ethnic languages. And it is required throughout the school years. So starting primary school to secondary school. And it emphasizes on communication skills, reading, writing, speaking, and also linguistics, phonology, syntax, and also literature. So we have to study Thai literature until high school, and we have to know how to read the poetry properly, which is kind of hard, and it really requires gifts. So, and this is just an example of Thai language, which this is the word Phasa Thai, or it's similar to Bahasa, but it's the Thai language. And when it comes to English language education, I only have 2 flags there, but actually we're not sure what dialect we're focusing on. At least we have to be able to speak English, that's all. So actually, besides British and American dialect, there should be Australian and Canadian, and that includes the foreign teachers who are in Thailand, which are also, there are also the Filipinos and some of the, yes, what's that? Is it? So it's not about my presentation, right? Okay, anyway. So, well, and there are also teachers from Ireland and South Africa. So as long as they don't have strong accents of their country, and as long as their accents are more towards British and American accents, they'll be accepted for an English teacher in Thailand. So let's see how it started. Well, this is classic information which has been presented since I was a master's student. So I'm not going to go into detail, and I think you can be able to find information on many websites. So it started more than 100 years ago. And at first, English was elective. Well, this was in the reign of King Rama III or the 4th, but now it's the 10th. So, and Pali was required as the influence of Buddhism. So Pali was required, and at the time, boys went to school, so they were required to know Pali at that time. And also Pali is also part of our written language too. But after that, because of colonialism, so King Rama V thought that we have to learn more of European languages. So there was an English medium school, but it wasn't widely attended. But well, because of, well, it's for the well-to-do people, and mainly it's for the foreigners who were in Thailand at the time. And at that time, English was just among the foreign languages taught at that time, which included Dutch, Spanish, and French. Actually, French was the most powerful at the time. So after that, since 1996, English has been required in all schools, and it really depends on the school. If they're the schools in the city, the upscale schools, the kids could start learning English since kindergarten. But in general education, at the beginning, they started in primary school. And it really depends on the budget of the schools to start at which grade. The latest was grade 4, but I think now all the schools started at primary, first grade. And well, the importance of English has been increasing and increasing. And again, it really depends on the school. If it's the upscale private school, they can afford English teachers, they can afford native speakers as English teachers, and they can even import the textbooks to use for their students. And it was envisioned or dreamed, I'm not so sure, okay, that English could become the second language. And for this, well, this is from the Ministry of Education, but I'm not sure if their definition of English as a second language is similar to mine. Well, I got one of my degrees is English as a second language. That means that when English becomes a second language, we have to teach English like in the Philippines or in the Singapore, which I still have no idea how it's going to be like. But anyway, we'll see in 7 years' time how this is going to turn out. At the moment, English is taught 8 to 7 hours a week. And again, it depends on the school and their determining factors, which are, well, the types of school and the academic concentrations. Because when you reach senior high school, there's language concentration and science and mathematics concentration. So for the students who took language concentration, will get more chances for English classes. As for the teachers, we have both Thai and native speakers. And for Thai teachers, they got their BAs or MAs from the Faculty of Education or Liberal Arts to teach English. And for the native speakers, mainly they're from the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and the Philippines. As for the textbooks, they can be imported or government publications. So there's also English textbooks that are supported by the government. And for the public schools that are not highly funded, they depend mainly on the government publications. And for the government support, they offer scholarships for English courses abroad. And for the non-government support, there's the British Council, AUA, and the Embassy of Australia, who eventually fund activities and materials and also scholarships. As for career path, it's just like all the non-English speakers in the world. It's just that English is required in all mainstream occupation. And well, this is kind of controversial in that many students, if they think that they're gonna work on the grocery stores that their family own and they don't want to go international, there are also chances that they could earn lots of money too. So that could lead to the lack of motivation. As for the trend, certainly the trend in learning English language as a foreign. Besides English, there are also other foreign languages taught in Thai school. And can you hear me okay? Okay, hopefully. So there's, well, since the Faculty of Arts where I work is responsible for teaching many foreign languages. And these are the languages that are taught in high school. So we have Chinese, which is Mandarin, and also Japanese and Korean and French and Spanish. So we have both Eastern, especially in Hong Kong. And the detail that I'm going to cover here is how many schools taught these languages and the hours they're taught, and the teachers, the textbook, and the support and fusion creation. Well, it's not in by the Ministry of Education. I had interviews with my colleagues who are teaching these languages. So let's look at the Western languages first. Okay, so starting with
I think, I think Miss Dr. Chitrakara is out of range right now. Maybe she's having a trouble with the connection. Let's wait for a few minutes for Dr. Chitrakara. Yeah, I think the connection it's not good.
Can you hear me? So should I go back to somewhere?
Okay, okay, you can continue, Dr. Chitrakara.
Yeah. Okay, well, right? Can you?
Okay. Yes, yes.
We can hear you, Doc. We can hear you, Doc.
Okay, I'm not sure which. Okay.
Yeah, you can share your slide.
Thank you. Okay, well, sorry. Okay, so can you hear? Not yet, right? Let's see.
Rita, you should turn off your video and you should speak only.
Okay, that's okay.
So you can see the slides and you can hear. And there's a garbage truck here. Just a second.
It's okay.
Okay. See, this is it's at the office. You'll hear my secretary. Okay. So the foreign languages taught in school in Thailand, and this is mainly to the students that the science concentration students. Some of them learn these also, but not in school. I think from tutoring school, because they're aware that the language of the third, the knowledge of the third language is essential for their future career. Starting with French, which has been implemented in Thailand since 100 years ago due to their colonial power. So there are more schools teaching French, and I also took French when I was a student, but I cannot speak. And so 6 hours a week, and we have Thai and English teachers, and it's supported. Textbook could also be imported from. There's also the support from the Embassy of France, and also there's the French Teacher Association, which has been well established because of the patronage of the sister of King Rama IX. Well, she's already passed, and because, well, she He graduated from France. He was the main figure since long time ago. However, the trend of learning French is falling at this time because the career path is not so clear. Besides the international organization, which there's not that many French companies in Thailand, it's difficult to find a job using French.
Excuse me, can everybody hear Miss Dr. Chitrakara?
Path will be so can everyone hear me? Can you? No, you cannot.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. How come it happens to my presentation? All right. Okay, for German, sorry about the technical problem. It's 5 to 8 hours a week, and there are Thai teachers and German teachers. And again, they got their degrees in education or liberal arts. And the textbooks are imported from Germany. And there's also the support by the government. And my connection is unstable. Okay, but you're still okay. Okay, I kind of like look at your picture, and if it moves, it should be okay. Okay, so and the future trend is stable because yes, it's because of their scholarship, and well, the students can work in international organizations and corporations. As for Spanish, this one, the trend is rising. Well, it's also, but only 19 schools teach Spanish, and mostly they're in the city, in Bangkok. And the hours is 6 to 8, and teachers are both teachers. They're not like from Spain, because actually many teachers are from South America too. Well, we have many Spanish teachers in our faculty, and they're Thai teachers who are very fluent. And the teachers for the materials, the teachers created the materials themselves, or they're imported from Spain, and it's supported by the government and the embassies of Spanish speaking. So it's the Spanish speaking countries, not from, and supported by the Spanish, who support the language activities and events. And the students, the students who graduated in Spanish will be interpreters and teachers and translators. So, well, the support of them, as far as my experience is concerned, well, the Spanish embassies, the Spanish-speaking countries, which include many countries in South America, they showed really strong support in the study of Spanish, and they also offer scholarships. And the students who speak Spanish can also work as interns in the embassies, and also interns in Thai embassies in the Spanish-speaking countries as well. So that also motivates the students to study Spanish. As for the Eastern languages, for Eastern languages, we have, yes, number one is Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And Chinese also, almost every school, because, well, for many students, their parents and grandparents also speak Chinese. And the trend is really rising because of the power of mainland China. And the hours vary from 1 to 12. So why is 1? Because some schools, if they cannot afford a Chinese class, at least they have this Chinese club just for students to get into them, to learn more Chinese culture. And teachers, they have Chinese teachers and Chinese volunteers who are supported by the Chinese government, the Confucius Institute, which is very powerful and very rich, and they support lots of things. And
Takara, you have 5 minutes left.
okay, and also, well, the textbook from China. So I'm gonna go through all over for them, Japanese and Korean in, let's see, in comparison. Okay, so for among Eastern languages, Chinese is number 1, and then Japanese and Korean, which are equally popular, and Korean is becoming popular in these last 2 years as influence of the Korean pop culture. So, and the government, the Korean government also supports provide generous support to the study of Korean in Thailand, and the number of students studying Korean in Thailand is the largest in the world, which I still don't understand why, but mostly is for the Korean, because of the Korean entertainment. And also, let's see, at the Faculty of Arts, so we have these different languages taught, and we have, number 1 is the English majors and minors. Number 1 is English, and then these are the ranking, but actually for the East Asian languages, they're competing. And also the European languages, they're kind of really close. And the least popular languages, sure, we have our Pali major too. And for the general education, we have these languages, Bahasa, Vietnamese, Hindi, Russian, Portuguese, and we're having Polish in the near future. Okay, in conclusion, well, Thailand still focuses on Thai and English, as Standard Thai led to extinction of ethnic languages. And it also led to the decrease of regional language dialect speakers. We also have Javi, which is the variation of Javanese in the southern region. And English is the sole foreign language that got the most attention. And the other leading foreign languages are East Asian languages. Other leading European languages are still learned because, well, there are many students who are more Western oriented rather than Eastern Asian oriented. So anyway, for those who study foreign languages, it's just due to career path or personal preference or popular culture. And the future of Chinese in Thailand is very promising due to the economic power of China and generous personnel and financial support. Chinese, well, is a force to be reckoned with for English as a status of major foreign language in Thailand because of their funding and because many Thai students think, according to my experience again, that English is harder to learn than Chinese. And whether or not Thai students are gonna learn English as their second language by 2027 remains to be seen. Well, it's hard to imagine teaching science in English though. So, well, according to the latest news, we're really behind in the English proficiency in Southeast Asia. And we're behind Malaysia, and we're also behind Vietnam. So that's why the Ministry of Education is boosting up their support for the English language teaching. And so, And at the end, this is the sign that appears that says lots of things about the status of English in our country. So here's the references, and thanks to all my colleagues from different foreign language sections who provided such detailed information. And that's all for my presentation. Thanks for your attention. Oops.
Sorry for that. Thank you, Dr. Chitrakara, for your interesting presentation. Actually, I think I know why Korean language is the most language studied in Thailand, because I know one of the group is from Thailand, the most popular girl group. Korean girl group is from Thailand. Okay, let's move on to our second presenter, Mr. Gemito do Carmo de Jesus. Mr. de Jesus has the title, academic title on chemistry and also philosophy. He is now a coordination of multilingual education, and also a technical advisor and national coordinator of multilingual education in Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, Timor-Leste. Mr. De Jesus has been serving as a governing board member since this year, 2020. And Mr. Jesus will present his topic on language policy and language education in Timor-Leste. Without further delay, let's have Mr. Jesus present his material. Please, Mr. Jesus, you have 25 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and good morning, everybody, and good morning all the participants. I'm honored to be one of the keynote speakers for this language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. And specifically, I'm going to share my knowledge about my country. Could Ms. Rina please share my slides? Yeah, next, please. Okay, for those of you who have not known where Timor-Leste is, here is Timor-Leste. You can see the color, the purple. It's located between Indonesia and Australia. It's an island. Okay, next. Now let me share to you regarding Timor-Leste. It's officially known as the Republic Democratic of Timor-Leste, as I already told you that it's located between Indonesia and Australia. Its population is only 1.33 million. That is very, very small population in the region, in Asian, I can say that. So this, my country, Timor-Leste, it was colonized by Portugal in the 16th century till 1975. And Timor-Leste ever proclaimed its independence on the 28th of November in 1975 by Fredelian, but unfortunately it was not recognized by United Nations or by international. Therefore, on December 7, 1975, Indonesian military invaded Timor-Leste, and Timor-Leste was recognized internationally as an independent nation on the 20th of May 2002. Next. Okay. In 1975 to 1999, Timor-Leste was under Indonesia. And in 1976, Timor-Leste became one of the provinces in Indonesia. Then in 1999, we got separated from Indonesia through voting. It was given by the President B.J. Habibie, a referendum. There were two options. One is for pro-independence and another one for pro-autonomy. So during voting, the result came out pro-independence got higher percentage comparing to those who were pro-autonomy. So in the end, Timor-Leste became independent nation. Then in 2002, Timor-Leste became an independent nation, and in the same year joined the United Nations and the Community of Portuguese Language Country. Okay, I will explain to you why Timor-Leste joined this Community of Portuguese Language Country. It's because of the history. Then in 2011, Timor-Leste announced its intention to join the ASEAN. Even until now, Timor-Leste has not yet become member of ASEAN, but the government of Timor-Leste are trying to make this Timor-Leste as a member of this ASEAN. Next. Now, since we talk about the language, let me explain to you historically about the main languages in Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste is a nation rich in cultural and linguistic diversity, though it's only 16 languages that are spoken across the country. Oops. Okay. Then during Portuguese time, Portuguese and Tetum were the main language. At the time, Tetum Tetum remained as the main lingua franca, known as Tetum Prasa. It was heavily influenced by Portuguese, since we were colonized by Portuguese at that time. Then during Indonesian time, Tetun and Indonesian were the main languages. And after officially joining Indonesia, Indonesian was the official language. Then after getting independence, Tetun and Portuguese both are the main languages as well as official languages in Timor-Leste, as defined by our constitution, and also our constitution regard Tetun and other national languages. They also value and develop these languages in our nation. Therefore, Timorese society is truly multilingual, and English and Indonesian now they are as working languages. Next. Okay, now let me share to you regarding the language policy and language education in Timor-Leste. During Portuguese time, based on the colony policy that Portuguese was the main language in education with the help of Tetun. Portuguese was introduced into the church by the Catholic missionaries, because those Catholic missionaries who came at the time, they were from Portugal. So they came with the objective to share their knowledge on education as well as their faith to Timorese. So in this case, they were the ones developed Tetun and spread it throughout the island. During Indonesian time, Bahasa Indonesia was the official language from preschool up to university. And during this time, Portuguese was banned in education, administration, and also the media, because the Indonesian authorities consider this language as a threat. Why they consider this language as a threat? Because during 24 hours, because during that time there were fighters, the fighters in the forest. They communicated among them using this Portuguese. So due to this, Indonesian banned Portuguese to be taught in education. Next. Then after getting independence from 1999 till 2008, all the curriculum, okay, yeah, all the curriculum were still written in Bahasa Indonesia, or all the books, all the materials are in Bahasa Indonesia, and also the lines of instruction was also in Bahasa Indonesia, because during that time we had not have our own curriculum written in our own language, that is Tetun and Portuguese. So in 2008, the government issued the Basic Education Act 2008. Through the Ministry of Education, standardized version of Tetun and Portuguese as the language of instruction, and also as languages of literacy informal education. So with this, all the curriculum were written in Portuguese along with Tetun. So in our curriculum, there is bilingual. And Bahasa Indonesia and English are regarded as foreign languages from this year onwards till now. Next. Okay, then in 2010, the national policy on mother tongue-based multilingual education was adopted, though it was run by UNESCO, using first language or mother tongue as the main language of instruction from preschool until grade 2, and with gradual introduction to Tetun and Portuguese till grade 6, based on the language transition. And in 2018, Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport owned this program, because according to the online survey showing that this program is very beneficial to the students who are in the rural areas in terms of understanding numeracy and literacy. And therefore, Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport want to own this program. However, this program needs to be debated in the parliament in order to issue a law to secure this program. Okay, next. Yeah. Now the challenges that we are facing in our country. It is language in education remains highly sensitive and challenging. Why? Okay, let me explain to you. As stated in our Constitution, Section 13, official languages are Tetun and Portuguese, and also stated in the Basic Education Act 2008, that Tetun and Portuguese are the languages of instruction as well as in all of the curriculum. So the challenge, most of the students find it difficult to understand the curriculum due to lack of knowledge in Portuguese. Therefore, this affects the quality of education in Timor-Leste from preschool till university. Okay, due to this difficulty and challenging, the Ministry of Education initiated this program or multilingual education program in order to facilitate students who find it difficult to understand our current curriculum that is written even in Tetun and Portuguese, because most of the people in Timor-Leste do not speak Portuguese, they only speak their mother tongue or mostly Tetun. So due to this, we need to find ways how to help our students in order to improve the quality of education. Okay, next. Okay, now, solution for language education in Timor-Leste is, one, we need to provide more formation of these two official languages, Tetun and Portuguese, to teachers For this, the government of Timor-Leste, through the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, develops partnership with Portugal on sending Portuguese as well as teachers on how to teach using Portuguese effectively. So every year, the government of Portugal, they send their personnel to Timor-Leste to teach our teachers and students, because even some of our teachers do not understand well this Portuguese, and they need help from Portuguese teachers in order to enhance their knowledge or their capacity in language Portuguese teaching. Okay, next. Okay, then the government established an institute that is National Institute for Training of Teachers and Education Professionals, known as INFORDEPE in Portuguese, saying Instituto Nacional de Formação de Docentes e Profissionais da Educação, which is responsible for the improvement, capacity building, and the betterment of teachers in the process of teaching and learning. Okay, next. Okay, then Ministry of Education, another solution. Ministry of Education introduces multilingual education known as EMULI, Educação Multilingüe, that's in Tetun. In basic education, that is in preschool and primary school, grade 1 to 6, though it is still piloting in some schools to facilitate students in literacy and numeracy, as well as facilitating them to learn Tetun and Portuguese, besides learning sciences. So this as a response to the difficulty, as I already told you, in understanding the curriculum in Portuguese, even in Tetun, that students mostly in rural areas are facing difficulty. So in order to understand well this program, last year we went to Thailand, we went to Patani Malai to do the comparative study. So we observed three schools there in Patani Malai, and we were inspired by their methodology, how they teach students, how students are so active in the classrooms, how they interact with each other and also with the professors. So using that study, we implement in our country, and based on the implementation and based on the experience, it shows that this program is very beneficial to the students. It forming them to be more creative, more innovative, and more confident among themselves, and even with the teachers. They are not afraid to ask questions or to do anything asked by the teachers. That means this program is very, very helpful, as you also already heard this morning, presented by Dr. Tony Sito. Okay, next. Okay, the future vision on education in Timor-Leste is: one, basic education in Timor-Leste is free and obligatory, that all children have to access to education based on our Constitution Section 59. And also according to our National Strategic Plan 2011 to 2030, that by the end of 2030, all children will access to quality education. I put question mark there because there are still some challenges that we need to fight. And the third, Timor-Leste was one of the countries that signed for the call to action to support the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030, that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. So there are 17 goals of this Sustainable Development Goal. However, in terms of education, Timor-Leste working towards the SDG 4, that is in providing the quality education to all of the Timorese students by 2030. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Jesus, for your presentation. So let's come to the last presenter today.
Hi.
Wait a second. Okay, the last presenter.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Let me
Good morning, everybody.
introduce you first.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Because I haven't introduced Mr. Tanisito.
Okay,
So
sorry.
so the third presenter is Miss Tran Tipong. Yeah? We have come to our last speakers here. Mr. Tran Tipong will present her topic on language policy in Vietnam. Ms. Pong holds a degree Master of TESOL, Master of Leadership and Management. Her area of specialty is in making policy on foreign investment in education. She is a head of investment division in International Cooperation Department, Ministry of Education and Training. She's been serving as a governing board member since 2017 until now. Yeah, so it's been more or less 3 years. Yeah. Okay, without delay, let's have Mr. Pong present her topic. Ms. Pong, you have 25 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm going to present my topics about language education in Vietnam from a policy perspective. And I think I will present within 15 minutes. The content of my presentation includes, first, I'm going to provide some background information about the language policy in Vietnam. And then I'm going to focus more on the National Foreign Languages Project and the Vietnam Framework of Reference for Foreign Languages Competencies, we call CEFRVN, and the teaching and learning programs, the standards and certification, and the Vietnamese English teacher competencies framework, and finally, the trends of learning foreign languages in Vietnam. First, some background information about the language policy in Vietnam. In Vietnam, the official languages is the Vietnamese. And this is a language spoken at schools, at offices, and the children we learn Vietnamese from primary school to upper secondary school. And besides Vietnamese, we have 53 ethnic minority languages. And teaching ethnic minority languages is a major policy of the government in order to preserve and to promote the language and the cultural values of ethnic minorities. And ethnic minorities is taught at primary level for those who are in ethnic minorities. Oh, so sorry. Well, besides Vietnamese, and we have now about foreign languages, we have French, Russian, English, Japanese, Korean, Germany, and others. And depends on the time, like French was predominant before 1954. And Russian predominant from 1954 to 1990s. And then English has become the predominant languages in Vietnam. And besides, 99% of foreign languages learners are English learners. And besides, we have Japanese, Korean, Germany, and other foreign languages. Concerning the language policies in Vietnam, the Prime Minister of Vietnam has issued 2 decisions relating to language development policies. That's decision 1040-2008 and decision 2080-2017 on National Foreign Languages Project. Now we move on to National Foreign Languages Project. Oh, it's frozen. So sorry. Okay, it works now. Well, the National Foreign Languages Project of Vietnam is divided into 2 stages. It starts 2008, and then in 2017, we extend another to 2025. And the goals of this project is by 2025, foreign languages competencies are the advantages of the Vietnamese students. And in order to achieve these goals, we have to renew the learning and the teachings at all these domains, from the policies, the teachers' education and training, the assessments and testing, the foreign languages teaching, curricula and materials, the equipment improvement, and other domains. And in order to renew, we have our own framework of reference for foreign languages competencies. And this framework, all these domains are incompatible with the framework of reference for foreign languages competencies. And all these, the renewal of the teaching and learning foreign languages is administered to all levels of learning, from preschool to primary to secondary, vocational, tertiary, and continuing education. Let's move on to the Vietnam framework of reference for foreign languages competencies. We call CEFR-VN because it is localizing the CEFR, the Common European Framework, and now we're localizing it to the Vietnam. And this CEFR-VN was developed by the National Foreign Language Project experts based on the Common European Framework of Reference in the context of using the foreign languages in Vietnam. And it was officially issued in 2014 by the Vietnam Ministries of Education and Training. And the CEFR-VN consists of 6 levels of foreign languages competencies, from level 1 to level 6, as you can see on the screen. Level 1, level 2, corresponding to A1 and A2. This is the beginning level. And for intermediate level, we have level 3 and level 4, corresponding to B1 and B2. And for the advanced level, we have level 5 and level 6, corresponding to C1 and C2. The Vietnamese framework of reference for foreign languages teachers' competencies affects all the teaching and learning programs, the standards and the certification, and is also for self-directed learning. Now look at the teaching and learning programs. You can see, basing on the CEFR-VN, we have the teaching and learning programs for general education. General education comprises from primary school to upper secondary school. And you can see here in Vietnam now, the pupil starts learning foreign languages, and especially most of them are English. As you can see on the screen, English language learners are 99% and 1% for other foreign languages learners. And here the students start learning English and all other foreign languages at grade 3. And after primary school, the students should have the outcome for the primary school is level 1. And at a lower secondary school, the outcome is level 2. And upper secondary school, the outcome is level 3. And now we have the whole country, we have the national English curriculum for the whole country. And the national curricula for other languages like French, Russian, German, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And at vocational and tertiary education, the universities and colleges, they have more autonomy in designing programs, but the outcomes for the colleges in learning of foreign languages is level 2, CEFR-VN. And with tertiary education, with the English major students, when graduating from university, they should have level 5, CEFR-VN. And with non-English major students, they should have level 4 in CEFR-VN. and with a continuing education from level 1 to level 6, and everywhere you can see the syllabus for teaching foreign languages in Vietnam now. Standards and certifications, I'm going to move on to here, just which I've mentioned: primary school level 1, lower secondary school level 2, upper secondary school level 3, college and university level 3, 4, and 5. Teacher proficiency, in Vietnam, the teacher proficiency language required is level 4 at primary school and level 5 at university level. And people working in public sector should have a level 3 or level 4 in CFRVN. Besides, we have also the standardized tests. The English language in Vietnam, we have the Vietnamese standardized test of English, we call VSTEP, has been developed according to CFRVN, sorry. And now, right now, 9 universities in the whole country has been approved to administer this test. With other foreign languages, we have developed the standardized test of German, Russian, and French language proficiencies. And some work in progress, like the standardized test of Chinese, Korean, and Japanese language proficiencies, level 3 to level 5. Now I'm going to move on. Besides CEFR, Vietnam has developed the Vietnamese English Teacher Competencies Framework because we consider teachers of English plays a very important role in renewing the teaching and learning of English in Vietnam. And this framework consists of 5 domains. The first domain is knowledge of the subjects. The second domain, teachers should have knowledge of teaching. Teachers should have knowledge of learners. Teachers should have good attitudes and values. And teachers should have the ability to learning in and from practice, informed by the context. And going to detail for each domain now. The first domain, the knowledge of subjects. An English teacher should have a language proficiency, should understand the language as a system, should understand about how languages are learned, and should have the knowledge of the cultures of English-speaking countries, and should have academic content in English, and of course, should have knowledge about language curriculum. The second domain, the teacher should have knowledge of teaching, includes language teaching methodology, lesson planning, conducting lessons, assessment of language learning, the resources, and the technology, especially now in the 4.0 resolutions. Next domain is the knowledge of learners. The teacher should understand the learners' development in order to encourage and to motivate the learners, and recognizing learner language to inform instruction, and reflects on learners' values and prior learning, and develop learners' creativity and critical thinking. The attitudes and values of the English teacher. The English teacher should be professional, should have to cooperate, to collaborate, and teamwork, should continually have professional development and lifelong learning, and contributing to the profession, and especially they should have the 21st century skills. And now the final domain is the ability to learn in and from practice and informed by context. The teacher should connect learning beyond the language classroom and reflect on language learning and teaching. And now I'm going to move on to the final slide. That's the latest trends in foreign languages learning, especially English. Now in Vietnam, more and more schools, especially in cities, they have extra English teaching programs. It means outside the syllabus required. Now they have extra English teaching program. The student may learn 8 or 10 hours a week in English, and they may have the teachers, the native speaker, to come and to teach them. The second trend that the private schools now collaborate with foreign schools to conduct integrated programs in English. We have Decree 86, 2018, to stipulate about the collaboration between the schools. Here in Vietnam, only private schools can collaborate with foreign schools to conduct integrated programs in English. And next, the third trend, that is a math and science subjects, have been taught in English in many schools, especially in the cities. And next, universities now, many universities are encouraged to, and actually they have been using English as a medium of instruction in teaching content subjects at university. And the final trend of e-learning has become more and more popular in teaching and learning English in Vietnam. Well, thank you very much. You can find me at fluent@vid.vn. Thank you for your listening.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Pong, for your presentation. That's very interesting how Vietnam shifting, improving in their teaching of Vietnamese language and also foreign language. Yeah. Okay, we have come to the third, finish the second session with the presentation from our presenters. Let's come to our question and answer session. We have 35 minutes for the question and answer. So Ms. Pong, Mr. Jesus, and also Dr. Chitrakara will have some questions from our participants. Maybe the committee will show the questions here. Okay, thank you. So the first question is for Dr. Chitrakara from Nicholas Ulysses Fabella from T3 Dayagan National High School, Mindoro Oriental. Oh, from the Philippines, yeah? That's very nice to hear from you. The question is, looking deeply into your 14 minority languages, would enable the country to delve with measures on how to enrich the Thai language. With the recent predicament of the 14 minority languages, what effective and efficient measures have you contrived to preserve it and never be allowed to perish? Yes, Ms. Dr. Chitrakara, you may answer the question. Is Dr. Chitrakara here? Dr. Chitrakara, let us check Dr. Chitrakara. I think she's not here.
Okay. Sometimes, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sometimes my audio and video is just off. Yeah, sometimes it just goes on and off. I don't know why. Okay. So anyway, I got the question. So for the minority languages, you see, as a linguist, I study about language death. And I know that language is a tool. And if the people don't speak it, there's no way to preserve it except for putting it in the dictionary. Because for the young generations, and this happens all over the world, according to my social linguistics lessons, it's just that, well, no matter how hard you preserve it, it'll be hard because the younger generation, they don't care if the language. So the people, the speakers will just keep dwindling, which is sad, but well, it happens to Native Americans. It also happened to people speaking minority languages elsewhere. Well, yes, it's because of colonialism. That's one thing. And for Thailand, it's just that the government imposing them standard language on the education. Well, it's tough if we have to put the minority languages in there because they're the minorities, and not that it's not that the teachers cannot speak the language too, because many of the teachers, they came from other areas. So what they could do is just that they can just teach the standard languages. Well, it really depends on how strong the minority community is just to keep the languages. Because, for example, in Wales, they try to have these bilingual lessons, but it didn't really work because people there, they're influenced by standard English. So similar situations could happen in Thailand and many countries. And it will be tough for the government to handle all the languages and to keep all the languages together. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Chitrakara. Maybe we come to the second question. Yes, the second question is also for Dr. Chitrakara from TB Wijayanto from Junior High School number 17, Tegal, Indonesia. How to solve the problem of different mother tongue for students when they learn English, because they have more their own mother tongues. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Chitrakara.
Well, it's just that when they get into school, they started with a standard language already. So their mother tongues, well, for example, if they're from the minorities, they can only speak their mother tongues at home. So everyone has the same base in that they start from the standard Thai. As for when it comes to English, it's not about coming from their mother tongues, but it's about their motivation and also the proficiency of the teachers, because the teachers' ability also vary according to the region. If it's rural areas, it's tough to require high quality teachers there, because I think as in many countries in that high quality teachers, they can just move to the city to find better jobs than being in the rural areas. So the quality of the teachers are questionable. So in order to have them learn English, it depends on the teacher, depends on the motivation they have. And with regards to the problems of the Thai students right now, it's first is about the motivation, and second, well, there's this research on the personality of Thai students, in that if anyone tried to try to be native like, they got teased by their classmates. And some of them could be afraid to being teased. So they try to be like others just to blend in. And that also hinders the ability to speak English. So actually the obstruction of learning English is not about the mother tongues. It's about the motivation and also the environment.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chitrakara. You have said that you have a standard Thai. Do you mean that you have also non-standard Thai? So what is the difference? What is the big difference between the standard Thai and also the non-standard Thai?
The regional dialects, the northern, southern, eastern, northeastern, okay, they have slightly different vocabularies. the northeastern one should be similar to Laos or the same dialect as Laos, and the northern ones and the southern ones, they also have their own accents with slightly different tones and vocabularies, but we can understand each other. But it's just that when they get into school, they have to have the right tones and the right vocabularies. And what my cousin, she came from the northeastern part, and she had trouble with her Thai lessons because she never got the spelling right since her tone is different. So yes, but it's the same language, but it's just that it sounds a bit different.
Just the dialect, yeah. Is it?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Chitrakara, thank you for your answers. And let's come to our, next question is for Mr. Jesus. De Jesus from Reza. Reza, I think, we need to know Reza maybe from Indonesia, yeah? How long does the Timor-Leste government need to make sure the people acquire Portuguese fluently? Do you conduct immersive program, and how success is that? Yes, Mr. De Jesus, you may answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Reza, for the question. Regarding how long does the Timor-Leste government need to make sure the people acquire Portuguese fluently? I don't know, the time will tell it. But the Timor-Leste is trying hard how to teach the students in order to understand the curriculum. The challenge that we are facing regarding this language is in Timor-Leste, most of the people do not speak this language. The communication that we use is Tetun or our mother tongue. Even the TV channels mostly are from Indonesia. So we are more exposed to Indonesian language than Portuguese. So because of the politics, because of based on the history of colonization, and also based on the fighters that using this Portuguese as their day-to-day communication, hence we make this Portuguese as our official language. And the problem that we are facing is in our education system. Most of the students, even me, do not understand well this Portuguese, and therefore, as I already explained to you, the Timor-Leste made strong partnership with Portuguese to help us how Timor-Leste can be able to speak this Portuguese fluently, especially in terms of education. So regarding immersion, we don't conduct this immersive program. One thing maybe because of the Portugal is too far from Timor-Leste, even in our country, so we don't conduct this program. So the thing that we need to do is we need to keep on training our teachers, and we need to ask help from Portugal or from Brazil to help us how our teachers can understand well this Portuguese, so that they can transmit their knowledge or their understanding on the subject that is written in Portuguese. So that's all that I can explain to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. De Jesus. So you mean that Tetum is your national language, and then your official language is Portuguese? Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Tetun, there are two official languages, Tetun and Portuguese. So in the school, when teachers or students don't understand Portuguese, then teachers will explain in Tetun. For example, in junior high school and senior high school, even in the university. But in the basic education, like from preschool till grade 6, the curriculum is written in Tetun along with Portuguese. But mostly teachers will use Tetun to teach our students. As I already explained to you, in the rural areas, teachers will use mother tongue to instruct students so that they can understand literacy and numeracy. Though some people here politically, they don't accept this multilingual education, but I myself, because I'm as a coordinator of this program, we are fighting how to influence these politicians or these government people to accept and to acknowledge that this program is very beneficial and helpful for the students who are in the rural areas.
Okay, Mr. De Jesus, may I ask you one question?
Please.
Where is the position of English in Timor-Leste? Is there any position of English in Timor-Leste?
Yes, as I already told you, English is regarded as a foreign language. But in terms of in public school, it is introduced or start introducing teaching in junior high school. It's in grade 7 onwards, grade 7 to secondary schools, senior high school.
Okay,
Bahasa
thank you.
Indonesia is welcome.
Yes, you may go on.
Yeah, Bahasa Indonesia is started introducing in secondary school, that is from grade 10 onwards. Why we keep teaching this language? Because every year most of the students who after graduating from senior high school, they go to Indonesia for their higher education. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. De Jesus, for your
welcome.
Let's come to the next question. Okay, question 4 for Mr. De Jesus from Saint Lai Ki, Pai University, Myanmar. Yeah, how many hours are used per week for teaching English? Yes, Mr. De Jesus.
Yeah, in terms of in the public school, as I already explained to you, this English is started introducing in junior high school. I can say 6 hours. 6 hours per week in junior high school. In senior high school also the same. And also, but in university, there are more hours. Interestingly, I'd like to tell you that most of the young people here in Timor-Leste have more interest learning English, because I mean, for us, all of us consider English is as an international language and easy for us to go anywhere or to study anywhere or to work anywhere. So after graduating from senior high school, most of the young people attend English course so that they can access to any country or anywhere they want to be. Yeah.
Okay, that's the answer. 6 hours, a week. Okay. Next question, please. Thank you, Mr. De Jesus.
You're welcome.
Next question is for Ms. Pong from Ahmad Japar. How does CEFR and CEFR-VN differ? If they differ, what areas are they different? Thank you. Yes,
Okay,
Ms. Pong.
Thank you for your questions. Let me share the screen. Why? I want to share. Are the participants sharing? Could you help me to share the screen now?
Yeah, the committee.
I want to share the screen because it's.
Yeah. I think you need to allow Ms. Pong.
Zoom say that you cannot start screen sharing while the other participant is sharing. So
yeah, because there's a slide here.
Could you just turn off the slide here? Can I share? Could you turn off the sharing question 5? Could you?
Yes. Farah?
So that I can share. I want to share the screen to answer these questions.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Pong, it's already.
Okay. The question is about how different is the CFR and CFR Vietnam. This is the, look at this slide. You can see, well, the process of adaptation, actually we localize the CFR to the CFR-VN. The process of adaptation is followed. We have a focus group of 35 selected English teachers and linguistics to recommend the additional descriptors for the CFR-VN. And then we have the survey questionnaire. We asked 39 EFL teachers from around Vietnam about the relevance of the additional descriptors. And then we also have an interview with 23 EFL teachers, explain their answers to the survey questionnaire. And finally, we have expert review. two experts to decide about the proposed CFR-VM. And actually, we have 75 indicators added to CFR. And in which listening, we have 20 descriptors, reading 18, speaking 12, and writing 25. And this is the detail. Well, that's the way we do how to localize the CEFR to CFR-VM. Okay. Is it okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huang.
Yeah.
Okay, the committee, Para, you can show the next question. Ms. Pong has explained the difference between CEFR and CEFR-VM. Okay. Question number 6.
Does the Vietnam government apply a kind of English training for all subject teachers so they can support CFR-VM system in the educational framework? Well, as I mentioned in the National Foreign Languages Project, all the teachers should at universities should have level 3. But if they are the subject teachers of foreign languages, they should have level 5 CFR. So, English training for all such. I think the teachers are encouraged to have the English training. Yeah, according to the CFR-VM. And in the past, we have the teachers' competence framework, and in which teachers should have the abilities of English language, and the abilities of IT, and they should have the certificate of level 3 and level 4 or level 5, depends on the subject they are teaching. Thank you. Thank you. Next question, please. That's all from me.
Number 7. Thank you, Ms. Pong.
Yes.
Okay, the next question is for Dr. Chitrakara from Haswan Hamdan, Malaysia. What are the challenges to get or hire native speakers to teach in Thailand? And how do you manage to attract them to teach in Thailand? Yes, please, Dr. Chitrakara, you may answer the question.
Well, I think we also have to compete with Japan and Korea too in that case. But yes, well, Thailand is considered attractive for native speakers, but the problem is the quality native speakers, because I've gone through different tests, applicants, native speaker applicants. But well, since we at Chulalongkorn University, well, since it's now #1 university in Thailand, we are quite selective for native speakers, and they have to have the teaching certificate. So yes, it's tough because who we have to compete is with the richer countries, and also among universities in Thailand, it's also mainly about the money. And because we're public university, we are a public university, so it's quite difficult for us to find the attractive salary for them. But well, nevertheless, we still have the quality ones, and well, it's hard. It's just mainly about the salary because people like to live in Thailand and it's quite cheap for them here. And in my neighborhood, I can see native speakers because I'm in a university area, although it's not my university, but we can see that there are lots of native speakers here. But again, it's just mainly about the quality that we have to compete, and to attract them, it's about the money.
Dr. Chitrakara, can I add the question from Hazwan? Yeah, Hazwan probably very interested in becoming a native speakers. Yeah, to teach in Thailand. Is there any procedure to be, to teach in Thailand? For example, Hazwan is from Malaysia. He wants to teach Malay in Chulalongkorn University, for example. Is there any procedure that Hazwan needs to prepare?
Sure. Well, yes, sure. You have to have the certificate and you have to pass a written exam and also the teaching demonstration and also an interview. And I had a few colleagues from the Philippines. So as long as they don't have the strong accent, they pass all the exams and they can get in. And there's one Filipino still remained at the Language Institute, but another one, she got married to an American, so she already left. But so far, yeah, it's about your teaching, your demonstration, and your knowledge in teaching, and also especially your accent. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Dr. Chitrakara. So, for example, if I want to teach in Thailand, do I need to have the ability to teach Thai or just maybe English? For example, I want to teach bahasa Indonesia in Thailand. Do I need to have the to speak in Thai?
No, you don't need to. You can speak English because, well, if it's at Chulalongkorn University, our instructors our students can understand English. And we had, I know one Indonesian teacher, and Bahasa is getting very popular, and there are more and more students enrolling. And as I indicated earlier, that it's included in a general education. That means that we only have like Bahasa 1, Bahasa 2, but Thai students seem to enjoy learning Bahasa because they think that it's a lot easier than English. And yeah, there is a possibility, but mostly it's about the connection with our East Asian languages and a university that sends the teacher. But yeah, if you are interested, you can contact our East Asian language department.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chitrakara. Maybe I want to add one more question. Dr. Chitrakara, you have said that now you have Thai standard language, and also in 2027 you'll have English as your second language. Yeah,
right.
I have seen that you have explained that there are many supports from the government and also from other government, for example, from French, from Japanese, Korean, Spanish, Spain. You have some support to teach the languages in your schools. Yeah, is there, because the English will be the second language in 2027. Is there any, support from the government? Because I haven't heard you explain much about the support from the government about the teaching of English in Thailand.
Well, the government highly support the teaching of English. Whatever funding is asked about teaching English language, they're willing to support. However, when it comes to the support by the native, the English speaking countries like the US or the UK, among the Asian countries, well, we're considered well-funded in education. So I think the US Embassy or the British Council, I think they offer more funds in other countries than Thailand. But yes, the funding for the government is very high, unlike the other foreign languages, because, well, the government sees that we're quite quite weak. And the reason that we're weak, well, I haven't explained in my presentation yet. Well, I can notice that my students actually, they speak a lot better English than the old days. However, it's just that our improvement must be a lot slower than Vietnam. Well, it's just that we improved, but well, our ranking, we just got passed by other neighboring countries, which, well, it's common when you do the ranking thing. Yes, we improve, but it's quite slow. It's not that we fall. But anyway, with regards to teaching English as a second language, I cannot see that it'll be possible because even the supporting staff in the Ministry of Education or even in the university, they are unable to speak English. If you really want to do English as a second language, that's the case that they will have to be able to switch between Thai and English. And for the policy makers, I don't think they are certain about the definition about English as a second language. For me, having English as a foreign language is good enough, but it's just that the students will have to be motivated and the quality of the teachers will have to improve. But the government doesn't need to do everything in English because, well, that could be too much of a challenge for us.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chitrakara. Okay, let's go to the next question. That's the question for Miss Pong from ADR1 from Junior High School number 5, Sambas, West Kalimantan, Indonesia. The first question is, how come English become a popular subject for the students? The second one, how does the government support the education in your country? Ms. Pong, you may answer the questions.
Thank you for the question. This is a big question. How come English become a popular subject for the students? Well, I think like many other countries now, English has become a predominant foreign language in Vietnam. Just English is considered a foreign language, not a second language. But we try to, maybe in 20 years, to make English become the second language in Vietnam. That's the vision. But right now, as you mentioned, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, actually since 2008, we have a national foreign languages project, and in which we focus, I think diplomatically, that's all foreign languages. But in reality, 99% of learners are English learners, as I mentioned earlier. So this is, I think, the requirement because now we are living in Vietnam wants to internationalize education, and English is predominant now, languages all over the world, so no other way. We have to learn English. For the second question, how does the government support the education in your country? Well, this is very big. I don't know how, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Actually, we have now, recently, we have the new program. Since the education has been reformed, and recently we have the new programs for all the subjects. And in which English, we have the new program from the primary school to university level. And in my country, I think maybe in other countries as well, education is considered, well, if we want to develop, the priority focus should be on education first. And that's why we have tried to renovate the education, reform education system, and with higher education, we have a new law, the amendments of higher education law, and also in 2019 we have the new education law. And with this law, all focus on renew, reform the education system. And with higher education, actually now the universities, they have more autonomy, like they can use English as a medium of instructions in teaching the content subjects in order to attract the international students, for example. And right now we have 35, we call the so-called advanced programs. It means the university, the important, the teaching programs from the prestigious universities all over the world. And then they try to tailor it to make it suitable for the Vietnamese context. And then they use it as a teaching curriculum at universities. Yeah, I think that's some, and the government support basically from the policy only, I think so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pong, for your answer. Actually, the second question is very broad question. Yeah, Ms. Pong cannot answer it on only several minutes. Yeah, Ms. Pong. Thank you. Next, the next question, question number 9. Okay, that's the question for Mr. De Jesus from UT Kanti, Cambodia. If your country has some colonial countries, how can the students catch those languages through your curriculum? Mr. De Jesus, you may answer the question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. How can the students catch those languages through our curriculum? Okay, as yesterday one of the moderators said that language is the key in order to develop any country. It depends on the language. So the government of Timor-Leste already decided that Portuguese is our official language in the government or in our education system. So how students catch this language, especially this Portuguese, as I already explained, the government of Timor-Leste through the Ministry of Education needs to try hard in order to teach them, in order to facilitate them to understand Tetun as well as Portuguese. Therefore, the Ministry of Education introduced this multilingual education in order to help students to understand or to catch up with this language, especially this Portuguese. I'd like to tell you that in Timor-Leste, most of us know Bahasa Indonesia well comparing to Portuguese. So this is due to the day-to-day communication in our country and also the influence by the technology in Timor-Leste. So this is what I can explain to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Jesus. Let's come to the question number 10. Okay, question number 10 is for Dr. Chitrakara from Kristanto, Foreign Language Institute, the Philippines. Question number 1. Does Thailand also implement CEFR in the competencies level for foreign language learning? And the second one, what is the English teacher competency framework in Thailand? Dr. Chitrakara, you may answer the questions.
Well, for number 1, it's just when it comes to the, what I understand, this is like a standardized test for the language competency. Well, for foreign language learning, each, what do I want to say? Like for Korean, they have their own standardized test, like from Korea, just to test the level of their language proficiency. But as for English, if it's either TOEFL or IELTS, Chulalongkorn University and Mahidol University also have their own standardized tests, which the teachers have to use as an application material if they want to apply for a job. And the English teacher competency framework, well, pretty much it's just like when we apply for a job for English when we recruit the English teachers, it's just that they have to show this the scores of the standardized test, and they have to have a certain degree related to English education, either an education degree or degree in language, like applied linguistics, or in language education. I'm sorry, and also if they pass all the written tests, they will be able to teach. For example, for the graduates of Chulalongkorn University who got a degree in education, like English education, they can just immediately apply to teach English in high school, especially the what do you call that? The high-end high schools in Bangkok. So it really depends on where you graduated, mainly actually where you graduate from. And the language proficiency scores, it's the second in the concern.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chitrakara. Kamati, I think the time is over, but do you have any more question? Do you want to show more question?
This is the last question.
Okay, the last question, question number 11. Actually, there are many questions here, but unfortunately, we only have to pick 11 due to the time. This is the last question for Mr. De Jesus. Mr. De Jesus, the question from M. Arif Yusuf from South Sulawesi. This is from Indonesia. What was the most challenging issue faced by the students when the language shifts from Bahasa Indonesia to Portuguese? Yes, Mr. De Jesus, you may answer the question.
Yeah, I think the most challenging issue that faced by the students when language shifted, changed from Bahasa Indonesia to Portuguese is understanding the curriculum that is written in our in education here in Timor-Leste. Because when we compare between these two languages, Portuguese and Indonesia, for Timorese, Indonesia is easier comparing to Portuguese. You know why? Because most of the Indonesian are here in Timorese, so most of the time we can communicate with them in Bahasa Indonesia. Even me, I'm fluent in Bahasa Indonesia. Even kids who are now studying in Portuguese, but they can speak Indonesia because most of the time they're exposed to TV channels from Indonesia, because there are many channels that watch here in Timor-Leste. Comparing to Portuguese, there is none here in Timor-Leste. That's why Timorese find it very challenging to understand or to communicate or to use this language in our day-to-day life, especially in education. So in order to produce the quality education in our country, it's very challenging. Anyway, Timorese government, so that I can answer, I can explain to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Jesus. Maybe next time Timor-Leste will have some TV programs from Portuguese, yeah? Or, yeah.
We hope. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think that's all for the second session. We have 5 speakers today from the governing board from the Philippines, from Singapore, from Thailand, and also from Timor-Leste, and the last one from Vietnam. Yeah, we have catch some ideas from our great presenters here, just like from the Philippines, from Mr. Umali, that how the Philippines preserve the language, how they use mother tongue until the 3rd grade of the earlier schooling, yeah, from the kinder to the 3rd grade, and also how they use English until as a medium of teaching in learning and teaching in schools. So the Philippines will use the English starting from senior high school, fully English as a medium of teaching and learning. And how we see Singapore, how they managed to use all the language, actually only 4 language stated there from Mr. Yo, but actually they have more languages. Yeah, there's like not only Tamil, but also maybe Punjabi, things like that, Urdu, yeah. And also from Dr. Chitrakara, we have known that it is in Southeast Asia, we have so many languages, yeah. Every part of Southeast Asia, just like Thailand, we have so many languages. Just like Indonesia, we have 34 provinces, but actually we have more than thousands of languages. So this is a kind of, we cannot think it as a, as an obstacle to use a certain foreign language, but actually our languages is just as great as the foreign languages, yeah. And also we have certain problems here because we want to, to mingle in the world with the English language, yeah, just like Mr. De Jesus, yeah, how Timor-Leste shifting from Bahasa to Portuguese, yeah. I know that Timor-Leste use Tetum, Bahasa Tetum, and also Bahasa Indonesia, but now they are shifting from Bahasa Indonesia to Portuguese, yeah. And also English for their foreign language, yeah. I do not afraid of Bahasa will be extinguished from Timor-Leste because I'm sure right now that Bahasa will not extinguish from Timor-Leste. and the last one is for Ibu Miss Pong, yeah, Miss Pong. It is actually how we can see that Vietnam is really fast in developing their language proficiency. Before they use French, yeah. We know that Vietnam use French as their language also, but now they are shifting to English. And how Vietnam use English as their second language or foreign language now, but actually they have fast improving, yeah, in this language. I think we need to learn from Vietnam how they do it, yeah. Okay, everybody, I think that's all for today. We have learned so much from our presenters from day 1 and also day 2. And actually, this is a very good opportunity for all of us, even though we are in this situation, in this pandemic. Actually, we are still able to share ideas actually from our distinguished guests here. And also, it is approved that even though we are in this condition, something that we can get more, just like what is the saying that we learn more in this in this situation. I think that's from someone from India, yeah, but I forgot the fully quotation. And thank you very much for Simeo Kitab in Language, Sekil, for having this webinar for us, for the participants, and also inviting those incredible presenters, maybe 10 presenters from day 1 and day 2. And we hope that Sekil also will have webinars and also from other countries as well in the future, yeah. And thank you very much, everyone. We have more than 400 actually participants, but now we have 272 participants. And we hope you enjoy the presentation from day 1 and day 2 and learn more from this presentation. Thank you very, very much. And I give it back the time to Farah. Farah, you can take it from here.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Virgo, and as well as to our resource persons. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are heading to the closing ceremony of the Sikil webinar series on language policy, and language education. For the first agenda, may we invite Dr. Lu Aning Mayani, Director of Semio Kitab in Language, to deliver executive remarks and closing remarks of the webinar. To Dr. Lu Aning, the time is yours.
Thank you, Farah. Good afternoon, everybody. So first of all, I would like to ask permission to share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen, Farah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, here are some summaries that we can learn from a very insightful and fruitful webinar from yesterday. So from Indonesia, we learned that Indonesia realizes the importance of language education to prepare the future generation as a survival in the 21st century. One of Indonesia's education goal is to create independent entrepreneur and a qualified worker competent in foreign language and technology. Indonesia gives more opportunity to students to choose other foreign languages such as Arabic, French, German, Japanese, Korean, and English is a compulsory subject at secondary school level. From Brunei Darussalam, we learned that Bahasa Melayu is the official language, while English used as a second or third language. English used as the main language for business and government affairs. English is the sole foreign language focused in Brunei. Educational strategy called the National Education System for the 21st Century is applied in Brunei Darussalam. Greater emphasis on English language, and it is used as a medium of instruction in all subjects at the primary level. From Cambodia, we learned that Cambodia had once implemented French language policy, but then it's changed. Khmer is the national language of Cambodia, and the foreign languages offered are English, French, and Mandarin. At secondary school level, 60% of hours is dedicated to learning official language, which is Khmer, and the rest, 40% is for foreign languages. And at the university level, students must take English for about 4 hours a week for the first 2 years. From Malaysia, we learned that Malaysia Education Blueprint, which extends from 2013 to 2025, was designed to anticipate the challenges of 21st century skills. The aspiration of the blueprint prioritized the development of knowledge, thinking skills, leadership skills, bilingual proficiency, ethics, and spirituality, and national identity. At the secondary school level, Malaysia supports their students to accomplish high distinction in Malay and English. From Myanmar, we learned that Myanmar has many local languages, and Myanmar also has a national language, which is Myanmar. And English is the first foreign language offered to their education world. English and Myanmar take turns as medium of instruction in upper secondary school and at university level. Myanmar government also pays attention to the use of local languages in their schools. From the Philippines, we learn a lot and very inspiring. Two official languages in the Philippines are Filipino and English. Bilingual education policy enhanced to multilingual policy of education. And by 2012, already 921 schools across the country have modeled the mother tongue-based multilingual education. This is very important. The main principle of a mother tongue-based multilingual education is that all languages are interrelated and interdependent. And from the Philippines, we learn how the language used as a medium of instruction from mother tongue to Filipino or English, and English, which begins purely used at grade 7 until grade 12. Two important points from the Philippines. Mother tongue is fundamental as medium for teaching and learning. Mother tongue-based multilingual education verifies its success in literacy and overall cognitive development. From Singapore, we learn 4 official languages in Singapore are Malay, English, Mandarin, and Tamil. English is a medium of instruction at schools. And bilingual education focuses on proficiency in English and mother tongue language. It adopts a principled blend of L1 and L2 methods. Like literacy rate of Singapore is really amazing, second rank in Pearls and PISA, and multiliteracy is a medium to face globalization, technological advances, and other 21st century challenges. From Thailand, we learned that a linguistic situation in Thailand, Thai is the standard dialect. There are other languages such as Tochao, Hindi, Punjabi, and 14 endangered minority languages, and there is also Jawi. Language education policy focuses mainly on Thai and English language. The implementation could be in the form of general program in Thai or bilingual program in Thai and English or international program in English. Other foreign languages in Thai schools are Chinese, Japanese, Korean, French, German, and Spanish. One thing we learned from Thailand is that single focus on standard Thai could lead to endangerment of minority languages. From Timor-Leste, we learned that linguistic situation in Timor-Leste is that Tetum and Portuguese as main and official languages, English in Indonesian as foreign languages, and there are 16 minority languages. Bilingual education in Portuguese and Tetum, which is now seems to change to adapt multilingual policy education. Literacy and numeracy also become important focuses of education in Timor-Leste. And Mr. De Jesus make a stress on language, nation, and development are interconnected one another. From Vietnam, we learned that the linguistic situation in Vietnam, Vietnamese is the official language of Vietnam. There are 53 ethnic minority languages, and the foreign languages learned in Vietnam are French, Russian, English, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, German, and others. Vietnam greatly focuses on English language. They have the CFR Vietnam, which is projected to be used until 2025 to advantage Vietnamese students. And Vietnamese English teacher competencies framework emphasizes on knowledge of teaching, knowledge of subject, and knowledge of learners. Ladies and gentlemen, from our presenters, we learned that Southeast Asia is a multilingual region, rich of local languages, national or official languages, and foreign languages. Each country basically implements bilingual or even multilingual education at a different level of implementation. It seems that English is getting stronger, the position in Southeast Asia countries, as it becomes one of language instruction at schools in most Southeast Asia countries. The 21st century challenges for Southeast Asia countries to adjust their national education policy and language. And literacy also play important roles to address those challenges. Foreign languages taught in Southeast Asia countries but not yet included in SICL's framework are French, Spanish, Korean, Portuguese, and Russian. Language, nation, and development are interconnected one another. Language lies behind the nation state as well as the process of development. And from this webinar, there are some recommendations. The first is mother tongue is fundamental as a medium for teaching and learning. Mother tongue-based lingual education verifies its success in literacy and overall cognitive development. Thus, it should be a better policy to maintain language diversity in Southeast Asia countries. Single focus on one language, in the national language, in education system could lead to the endangerment of minority languages. And the fourth one, to be able to maintain language diversity as well as to correspond globalization, Southeast Asia students are required to master mother tongue, official or national languages, as well as foreign languages. And education system or policy should address 21st century challenges. Literacy and numeracy are relevant to be focused along with language education. So that was the summary. Thank you very much for your kind attention. So I think I just move on to the closing ceremony, right, Farah? Well, Honorable Simeo Kitabin Language Governing Board members, keynote speakers of SICIL's webinar series, Language Policy and Language Education in Southeast Asia. Our moderators, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen. After conducting a very intensive and fruitful webinar since yesterday and today, we finally come to our last agenda. The Center expresses sincere gratitude and high appreciation to our keynote speakers, Ms. Haja Salawati binti Haji Abu Hanifah from Brunei Darussalam, Mr. T. Mab from Cambodia, Dr. Luisah F. Saidi from Indonesia, Dr. Rusmini binti Ku Ahmad from Malaysia, Dr. Sao Min from Myanmar, His Excellency Mr. Tonisito MC Umali Esquire from the Philippines, Ms. Elaine Yeo from Singapore, Assistant Professor Dr. Nirada Chitrakara from Thailand, Mr. Gemito de Jesus from Timor-Leste, and Ms. Tran Thi Puong from Vietnam. Thank you very much for your inspiring presentation, brilliant insights, smart and fruitful suggestions during the discussion. From this webinar, the Center learned how to integrate the programs of the Center with relevant language policy and language education in CIMEO member countries. Thus, the program of the Center will meet the need of language teachers in CIMEO member countries. In a broader sense, the Center would serve the result and recommendation of the webinar as strategic basis for the Center to prepare quality programs that are adjusted to future challenges of language education in Southeast Asia countries. The recommendations should be considered by Southeast Asia countries in addressing multilingual diversity and the 21st century issues. We hope that the CIMEO Kitabin Language GB member could echo the recommendation of this webinar to the Ministry of Education of each respective countries. We also send the same hope to policymakers and also participants attending this webinar. The webinar may close today, but we hope that our GB member will always give us continuous support to implement our programs to enhance the quality of our program, as well as the language education in Southeast Asia region. The meeting would not be successful without support from SICIL's partners and related stakeholders, especially the Ministry of Education of member countries. So please extend our sincere gratitude to the Ministry of Education of the member countries for assigning SICIL's GB members as resource persons in this webinar. Once again, thank you very much for your participation and kind attention. Please stay safe and healthy amidst this pandemic situation. We hope that we see you again next year in other programs or activities of Semiokitabin language. Happy new coming year very soon, and best wishes to you all. Good afternoon and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lu.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Everybody.
much.
Thank you.
Bye, see everyone.
Hi,
Yeah.
Miss
Essency.
Ezra.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Tony Stone,
Bye.
Mr.
Yeah.
Umali.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
All
Dr.
our GB
Lu.
members.
Thank you. I thank you.
Yeah.
See you
Hope
in our
see you.
next
Thank you,
meeting.
everybody.
Where will this be? Where will this be, Miss Ezra?
Yes, Miss. Yes, Mr. Umali.
Where will be our next GB meeting?
Inshallah, I think we hope we can do that in Bali, yeah, Mr. Umali.
Invite all the participants, all the 400 participants. So who
Oh
heard
my God, yes, we hope so.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, before we let the meeting, we will have photo session first.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So may we
Thank
invite
you.
Board of Director of Semiokitabin Language, distinguished resource persons, moderator, and also our guests to put your best position for a virtual photo session. Please be ready. I will count to 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. So to all
Bye.
participants, yes, to all participants, before we close the webinar, we have some information first. Okay, so the first is the link for the evaluation form will be sent through our chat box. Yes, it is already sent to you. And then we will only provide the certificate to participants who have joined the webinar from day 1 on Zoom and also have completed the evaluation form. And we will be waiting for the evaluation form until 11 December 2020 by the latest 11:59 p.m. Jakarta time or GMT +7. The certificate will be sent on 16 December 2020 to your email that is used on your evaluation form. Lastly, we would like to thank you for your attention and cooperation during the webinar. We apologize for any inconvenience occurred during the event. Stay connected with us and get up to date with our events through our social media. Please be safe and healthy. See you on your next event. Goodbye.
Can you email me for the evaluation form? Because if it's in here, we'll have to open the Zoom link to access the address, right? To reach the evaluation form.
Yes, we will send the link to your email.
Will we get a recording of the 2 days webinar?
Yes. Yes, the recording of the webinar will be also
the recording of this webinar. Will we get a recording through email? Yeah.
Yes, the recording of the webinar will also be aired on our YouTube channel, on SICIL YouTube channel.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we can find on YouTube channel.
Yes, we will also share the link once it is aired or uploaded into our YouTube channel.
Yes, but for all our speakers, we will send directly to your email.
Okay.
Including the presentations, Miss Ezra, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Umali.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Our next
Thank you so
webinar.
much. Yeah, see you. again.
See you next time.
See you. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Congratulations to our
Thank
secretariat.
you, Mr. Umali. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you so
ma'am.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Nirada. Thank you,
Yeah, thank you,
Mr.
Miss
Tit.
Nirada, Miss Ellen, Miss Moptip. Thank you, Mr. De Jesus. Thank you so
Mrs.
much.
De Jesus.
Pak Agus,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much, Pak Agus.
Bye, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Miss Nirada. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ibu Virgo, terima kasih banyak, Ibu.
Ya, terima kasih. Ini saya masih nge-lag videonya.
Thank
Dari
you, Miss Nirada.
Terima kasih tim Sikil, sukses selalu. Amin.
Ya, amin Pak Moko, terima kasih.
Kita bisa keluar sekarang, Bu?
Bisa,
Terima
Ibu.
kasih,
Terima kasih banyak, Ibu.
Terima kasih,
Pak Agus, terima kasih
ya.
Pak Agus.
Mohon maaf
Setia
kalau
sekali Pak Agus.
ada kekurangan.
Masih ngisi
Terima kasih, Bu Virgo.
Tidak apa-apa Ibu Virgo, terima kasih. Terima
Ya,
kasih Pak
terima
Agus
kasih
yang setia
banyak.
bersama kami.
sama-sama.
Jam 12 ada meeting lagi.
Ya.
Oh ya,
Silakan,
ya,
Ibu.
oke
Terima
sip.
kasih.
Terima kasih.
Saya pamit juga ya, Bapak Ibu. Terima kasih. Terima
Ya,
kasih.
silakan Bu Luani. Terima
Ya,
kasih.
terima kasih panitia, Farah dan teman-teman di belakang.
Terima kasih Farah, terima kasih semuanya. Siapa Ardel, terima kasih Ade, Mas Bayu, semuanya tim yang ada yang tidak bisa saya sebutkan satu persatu, ada Rina dan siapapun di sana. Terima kasih banyak. Hari kedua ini sempurna, bagus, dari awal hingga akhir semua berjalan smooth dan kalian luar biasa.
Selamat dan sukses tim Sikil, makasih. Saya mohon pamit.
Saya live ya.